Well, good evening, everybody. Coming to you live from Carver-Hawkeye Arena here in Iowa City, and we are, we're recapping an Iowa victory over a Big East team. So that's good news. The Hawkeyes defeating Xavier this evening, 81-62, and I'm doing this on a mobile device. So we're going to do our best here, but we'll have some help here in a few minutes. So Kyle Spence is set to kind of take over the controls, and we'll have a chat, and we're hoping to get Coach Close on here as well at some point. He's in a totally different place, so we're all in our different locations this evening, as always, I guess, but Coach Close is expected to join us. But lots to be happy about tonight, folks. Iowa getting its first Power 4, Power 5, if you will, major conference win over the Xavier Musketeers. Richard Pitino and this Musketeers team goes down to the Hawkeyes. Win number 3 for Ben McCollum here at Iowa. So we're going to talk all about it here over the next hour. Plus, our RTI Threads player of the game, Bennett Sturtz with 21 on 7 of 13 shooting. He made 7 of his 8 field goal tries. Also chipped in 9 rebounds. Did have 4 turnovers, just 3 assists. But this was a pretty controlled performance by everybody, including Bennett Sturtz. It's not like this game was ever in doubt. Xavier, hung around very early, but Iowa made a strong push towards the end of the first half, and it was. I'm not saying it's going to be like this every single game in conference play, but when this team that plays this style of basketball gets a lead, it's going to be hard to blow it, especially at home. Knock on wood, right? Knock on the hardwood, but it will be hard to blow a win when you play as hard as they do on the glass and defensively, which I know is a breath of fresh air to so many people. It is amazing and I was, of course, watching. I hadn't been to a game yet this year until tonight, but having watched the first two games over the airwaves and now watching a game in person, it's amazing how early the Iowa crowd has expressed appreciation for defense. I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but it's telling, right? It's telling when you have a round of applause, like 15 seconds into a possession early in the first half in a close game, even against the likes of Robert Morris or Western Illinois. Tonight it was against a high major team, but this crowd, this Iowa fan base is engaged right now. Good crowd here tonight at Carver, about 3/4 full, and students are in a better position now, right? The recent change with student seating helps a lot. I made the comment to somebody next to me tonight that, and by the way, I was here as a fan, not as a media member tonight, so I was in the stands, spoke to a fan next to me, and just made the comment that it felt like a mini Hilton Coliseum feel. I'm not saying it's anything close to the loudness of a Hilton, but when you have the students right there behind the basket the way it should be, it just feels better, and they are right on top of things and a much more engaged student body, and they will continue to be more engaged as long as this team plays as hard as it is. There's going to be hurdles, right? This is not a very good Xavier team they beat tonight. I'll just say that. I think we can all guess that. The numbers say Xavier's not very good, but it's still really early, right? It's still really early. So anyways, RTI Threads player of the game has been at Sturts. And how about this? Big Grove's big play of the day. Big man Trevin Urich, the former Mr. Iowa from Des Moines, with the nifty handles and finish early in the first half. Got some oohs and ahs from the Hawkeye faithful. The big man, the big 7-footer, the biggest guy on the court tonight, with some really European-looking feet and patience inside. He is already carving out a nice role with this program. Did he play at all against Western Illinois? Ben McCollum's made it very clear. Each game is different. We didn't see a ton of Isaiah Howard tonight. He turned the ball over a couple of times early, got pulled, did get in the game late, but I don't know. I have a final box score with me right now because I'm doing this, again, kind of on the fly. But Isaiah Howard didn't play a ton tonight, and it's going to be a game-by-game thing based on matchups, based on how these guys are playing. We say that about every coach. I mean, Fran was that way, right? Just because you're a starter doesn't mean you're going to get starting minutes. But with the exception being a couple of guys like Sturts and maybe even Fulgaris, who's not a starter right now, guys aren't guaranteed minutes if they're not playing great, or maybe the matchup doesn't favor a particular style, particular player like Urich against Western Illinois. Urich was effective tonight in this matchup against the Musketeers. And again, Urich gets the Big Grove's Big Play of the Day award tonight for his nifty handles, footwork, and finish at the 11:18 mark in the first half. By the way, our show this evening is always sponsored by Big Grove Brewery, the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes. Of course, it was fun to see a bunch of people around me in the crowd tonight with Easy Eddies. You can get your Easy Eddie at your local establishment, or just visit any of the great tap rooms here in Iowa, Des Moines, of course, Solon, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and now open in Omaha. We'll have a special announcement. If you live in the Omaha Council Bluffs area, please stay tuned, because we're going to have an opportunity to engage with you as fans here in the next couple of weeks. So that's my little sneak preview for better things to come, a special announcement which will drop any day now, perhaps even tomorrow night after the Iowa USC football game. Big Grove Brewery, the official craft brewery of the Iowa Hawkeyes. And, of course, RTI Threads. You can shop the RTI player apparel for a bunch of athletes, including Aaron Graves, Zach Lutmer, Jacob Gill, Carson Shire, and RTI. What a great company they are, and they're going to be part of our special announcement as well here in the coming days. RTI Threads, shop the gear of these great Hawkeyes who are leading the football team to hopefully a win down in Southern Cal tomorrow night. RTIthreads.com. Use that /NIL. All right, folks, before we get to our first caller, and again, we are waiting for Kyle Spence here. I'm surprised Kyle's not on here, but we'll do what we need to do in the meantime. So, let's get to our first caller of the night. We have got Doug with us. Doug, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's a little weird hosting a show like this for a small time. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah, like I said, we always have internet issues, but I got you. And my face just changed, but um, no.
We got you, Doug.
Again, I'm not a big fan of Baby Patino, but
he's not the warmest or the cuddliest. I think, when you had Richard Pitino and PJ Fleck both up in Minneapolis for a time, that was not a real warm and fuzzy athletic department. Maybe for the people up there it was, but those guys are not real warm and fuzzy outsiders. So I think he's a good football. I think he's a good basketball coach.
Yeah, that was a team that has 12 new players. That's not going to be one of the upper tier teams in the Big East, but they have talent, and a couple of those guys are really good players. And we watched. I was very very pleased with Combs, and he played 32 minutes, had 11 points. He had a really good game. I mean, 4 rebounds and 4 assists. So.
They needed him once Isaiah Howard came in and started fumbling the ball away.
Yep.
I mean, it did not take Ben McCollum long to yank Isaiah Howard and insert a more seasoned veteran in Cale Combs. That's a luxury. I mean, Cale Combs is a guy that I think, Doug, I mean, you probably listened to a bunch of preseason coverage in lead up to this new era, and he's a guy that sort of gets overlooked because he's not like outstanding at anything in particular, but he's just solid. He's just going to be a solid guy who can handle the ball, who can make shots, make floaters. He's got a nice little floater, lefty. And this team gets to the line a lot. He makes free throws. So, he's going to be a guy who logs heavy minutes in certain games like tonight.
Yeah, he doesn't turn the ball over. And he probably did have. I mean, they had 14 turnovers in the game, which is quite a few. It seemed like those came in spurts too, because I thought they played very well in the second half. Figueres, always worry about all these guys, new guys' names, saying them right. So I'm bad with names. But I thought he did well. Cooper only played 13 minutes too. I think, it like you said, it isn't who started the game. It's who, was there when they won the run.
Yep.
This should be interesting. I had them at 5-0, as most people did, and the only game we were halfway scared was this game. I really just hope that he works out, gets confidence with some of those guys like Howard and Cooper, because I like the depth. I like that he goes 10 deep. Everyone's saying he won't go that deep, and he's going 10 deep with still playing Bennett 40 minutes, which is interesting.
I think to be really good, I think he's going to have to trim that down. But I don't think it's a problem, right? I don't think it's a problem right now, Doug, because, like you said, this is a brand new deal here, right? I mean, this is a program that the Ben McCollum program is not new, but trying to fit it into, it's basically half Drake guys, half non-Drake guys, right? So regardless if Cooper was here, Cooper being here last year makes absolutely zero difference, right? Like the only thing I guess you have as an advantage is comfortability from Cooper playing in this arena. Other than that, it's all new. Style of play is new. Obviously, who he's playing with is new. So, I'm with you. I think they got to get down to 8 by the time we hit March if this team is going to be worth something. Because to me, if they're not down to 8, that's a sign. With the way Ben McCollum relies on his guys, I think Fulgaris is going to be a 35-plus minute. I'm honestly surprised that Fulgaris ain't starting. Say that again.
Banks played 30 minutes too. Both Combs, Banks, and obviously Ben played 30 minutes, and Figueres played, close to that too. So it looks like those 4 kind of established themselves tonight a little bit, but we'll see. We got 2 games. Go ahead. Sorry.
I guess a few things that I would just say, and again, way too early. I remember saying this with football a month in, right? Strength of schedule is key. I want people to realize this. Xavier could end up being a decent team by year's end. They're not decent right now. All right, that's not a good basketball team that Iowa beat. Now, they're a power four. I keep saying power four. They're not a power four team. They're a high major team. All right, that's the term we use in basketball. They're a high major team. I called them a mini blue blood to somebody earlier today. I say that because they're a really good basketball program, right? with that being said, like you said, Doug, when you have a rebuild in this day and age, it can go one of two ways. Either you lose everybody and you struggle mightily in year one, or you have a haul in the portal and you fix it like that, right? We've even seen that with football with Curt Cignetti. And I think Richard Pitino, it looks to me like he's more so the former. I think he's going to struggle to win games in that conference. There's a lot of really good teams in the Big East, as you well know. Ken Pom hates them. So I looked at Ken Pom during the game because I'm like, boy, is Iowa just mucking this game up, or is Xavier just that bad? It's too early, right? But Ken Pom hates Xavier. I counted one team, just kind of scrolling through here at Carver. I counted one team, one major conference team that's a worse rating right now than Xavier, and that's Boston College, who's like one spot below them. So Ken Pom hates them. Doesn't mean Iowa did anything wrong. You won by 20, right? But it is worth noting that Ken Pom hates the Musketeers.
2 points. First point. My first point is there's a difference between playing slow and playing with pace. And Iowa plays with pace. McCollum seems to play with pace. I don't think they play slow or anything like that. They just play with pace. The next thing is Ole Miss will be a challenge, and I don't know if Utah or Grand Canyon will be, but again, this is what we thought would be their first 5 games. Next week, they're Tuesday, Thursday games, which I don't like. Because I can't attend either of them. But
why weren't you here tonight, Dougie?
Personal things, but yeah, I have plans to come to a few games as my internet's starting to act up. But yeah, the California tournament, we'll learn a little bit more. I didn't think we would learn that much against Xavier because they did lose to Santa Clara, and it's hard.
They lost by 20 to Santa Clara at home. That game was at home. Yeah. So I'm not trying to take anything away from this win, but to your point, there's a reason why Ken Pom don't like them.
Yeah.
And they barely beat. Who did they barely beat? Kyle, was it like Radford?
Lemoyne is
Lemoyne.
Team that they beat by 5, and they beat Marist by 4 at home.
Lemoyne is the jank version of Des Moines. Okay, that's unbelievable. I've never even heard. I didn't know that was Are they Division I? They had to have been Division I. They're not playing non-Division I teams in the regular season, are they?
Let's see.
I think it was wasn't the other game Radford or something like that?
Marist. And they won by 4. Marist.
They won by 4. Yeah, I mean, like I say,
they're Division I, but they're in the Northeast Conference, the NEC. That's their conference.
That's a pretty bad conference. Usually, that's a 16th seed, no matter what, coming out of that conference. But
they actually just moved. They just moved from Division II. It looks like 2 or 3 years ago.
Sorry, I had to change my aspect ratio there, Dougie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. One last point for people. Even if this isn't the best quality quad 1, quad whatever, Iowa, the meat of the potatoes is you just got to win in the Big Ten. You have to win 10+ games in the Big Ten. It don't matter who you play in the non-conference. That's kind of what Ben thinks, and that was kind of what Fran thinks. I don't necessarily. I think you need to not have so many cupcakes. But Xavier isn't supposed to be a cupcake.
You can't blame them for that. That's Xavier's fault, not Iowa's.
Yeah, that's exactly because that's supposed to be a Big East team coming into Carver, and it's not Iowa's fault. They have one of the worst Big East teams coming into Carver. You can't predict that, and with the transfer portal, you can't predict it. But they have tons of opportunities to get major quad 1 wins in the future. I mean, I think they play Purdue twice. I mean, they play UCLA, Michigan. Michigan was behind TCU at half. That was interesting. We'll see how that goes. But
hey, real quick, can I ask a question? Because I do know Owen Freeman had a big game for Creighton. Sounds like Josh Dix ain't doing a whole lot. I've not been following their seasons. What is Brock Harding doing at TCU?
They lost their first game to some mid-major nobody. I really ain't following too much either. I just look at box scores. He had 6 points at the half, and
5 points and 6 assists a game. He's shooting 21% from the field.
Yeah, he's being Brock Harding. But
yeah, they lost to New Orleans, University of New Orleans.
Well, out of the former Fran players, the one that is doing the best is Seydoux, and we might play him. So that guy's like,
Yeah, that dude went off the other night. I saw highlights of him. He had didn't he have 20 and 12 or something?
Yeah.
For Utah against, I don't know who it was against.
St. Joe, California school. I think they're a Mountain West team, but I'm not 100% sure. San Juan State. I don't know, but I'm always bad when people make fun of it because I act like I know what I'm talking about and then get names wrong. But no, they have opportunity. I mean, go down to California, get a couple wins there, and Iowa State will be a big win when they go into Hilton and beat Iowa State. That'll be a big win, and
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, but I do think the Big Ten, Purdue is, I think, pretty good, and we'll see. Next week will be 2 major blowouts, and I hope they just learn more about the team and rotations and stuff like that. So, thank you, y'all.
Thanks, Dougie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Doug.
Why am I calling him Dougie?
I don't know. You guys are just too familiar at this point.
Too many easy eddies. No, actually, I did not have any easy eddies tonight. I'll admit that. But
what's your ticking time bomb on getting kicked out of Carver here? Usually we last 20, 25 minutes, right? We're coming up on that.
It's pretty close. By the way, I need you to just take over on comments and everything because StreamYard's got to figure out. It's so clunky trying to do this from the phone. But I just want to say this. Picking up trash behind me. There's got to be some irony in me wearing the RTI Threads Peyton Sandfort shirt to the first game of the Ben McCollum era. There's some serious irony there. Awesome shirt, by the way. This is.
Yeah.
Everybody knows I was, plenty critical of Peyton Sandfort during his time at Iowa, but this is a slick-looking shirt. Okay, So I think they still got some Peyton Sandfort stuff over at RTI Threads. I think so. Yeah. People
probably running out of time, but
yeah, they are running out of time. So, So, Kyle, keep your phone on you. My plan here is we'll see. Like I told everybody here a minute ago. I know you got a couple of people lined up to chat. I told everybody earlier we hope to get Coach Close on here, but I will do my best to call in from the vehicle. So I'll try to give some, and maybe we can kind of collaborate on the road safely, of course.
Yes.
But I'll make my way back to the car now that you're back. People don't know you were at the game as well, right?
I was. Yeah, I left with about 6 minutes to go to get back.
Yeah, you have a little bit. You have a little bit shorter drive than I do. So
just slightly.
But yeah, I'm sure I'll get kicked out of here in a second. So, folks, keep it locked right here. We'll continue this, or Kyle will, and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk to you soon, Cory.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, while you're stuck with me for a little bit, let's have some fun. I was also at the game, as Cory alluded to. Just a weird one to try to take anything from. I'll give a couple of my things that I have written down from watching the game in person, and we'll get back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Again, I can send that link. Please call in and join the show. We'd love to talk with you, Cory. Like he said, we'll probably be back on. I've just put the link in the live chat. So if you'd like to call in and talk to myself or Cory, please call in and give us a chat here as we talk about the first, as Cory was saying, first significant win of any significance in the Ben McCollum era. It's exciting to get started here. I got to the arena not too long before tip-off. First thing I noticed was the new student section. I think it's a good idea. Obviously, we've talked plenty about attendance and the impact that it can have on the game, and especially the energy that the students bring. As I've alluded to, I have a good friend of mine who is an Illinois fan, and so I've watched some of their games, and they have an electric student section. I watch those games and I go, man, what a home court advantage that Orange Crush gives Illinois. And Orange Crush is lined up right across the entire arena, and it's fairly close to the fairly close to the floor. So big home court advantage. I thought that was a good addition. I don't know that the energy necessarily was there tonight from the students. Hopefully it'll be there in Big Ten play. I would say the student section was mostly full. Attendance, I don't have. Let's see if they've posted official attendance. See if I can get that pulled up for everybody. It looked like about 10 to 11,000. They have 11,678 listed as official attendance. So better than a lot of reported attendance. I think last year they reported an average of something like 9,500 thousand spectators per game. Big deal. I mean, it's just important, especially in the Big Ten. We've known for some time now that going on the road and winning, especially in good environments, is very difficult to do. So good positives to see to start the game off. Just good to see that they're prioritizing the students in some way. As far as the actual game, very sluggish start for both teams. Both teams really struggled to get in any rhythm. Iowa picked it up. I thought the burst at the end of the half was impressive. They really tightened up the defense for a few minutes, about the last 6 minutes of the half. Went on a nice run to finish the half and stretched what was a 5 or 6 point game out to about a 15 point, 16 point halftime lead. I can't remember exactly what the halftime score was, 45 to 29 or 30. So a lot of positives there. Again, just hard to know exactly what to take away from a game when you're playing an opponent like we've gone through already that in Xavier that is really, really anemic. I was looking through their resume again as we're coming live here. Obviously, Cory has talked about their KenPom rating. I mean, KenPom even right now says that let's see, Iowa would be a 14-point favorite on a neutral site, and they beat them by 21 at home. So it was about what KenPom expected. Xavier's not very good, so we won't learn a lot from them. Ole Miss is 27th in KenPom. We will see them here in what's that, about a week down the road here. So that'll be a test. Obviously, Iowa State on the road before we get to Big Ten play. Those will all be good tests. But yeah, just hard to learn a lot. The two things that I would point out just before, and we'll get to some of our callers here shortly. Please, again, the link is in the chat there in the description if you'd like to call in on StreamYard. But two things I'd like to point out just before we get to our callers. Number one, I think Bennett Search so far has done everything that you wanted out of your star player. I think in particular, again, not that it was a high pressure moment, but with 10 minutes left in the game, 9 minutes left in the game, Xavier comes out of a timeout and they're down 15 and they start to press Iowa in the full court press. And we know college teams for all of time have struggled to break the half court press, especially against a desperate basketball team. And Bennett did a real nice job, I thought, of orchestrating their way out of that, of demanding the ball when necessary, giving it up when necessary. And then again, when they got to the half court, it was just like, okay, whoever got the ball past half court, let's chill. Let's get the ball to Bennett and let's run whatever action Ben was calling from the sidelines. Ben was very active on the sidelines again. That's something I've really liked about the first couple of games here. Very, very engaged defensively. And then he goes, I don't know if you can see it on the broadcast, but in person, he's going to kind of the coach's line close to half court where they're not allowed to go any further. And goes on a knee and starts barking stuff out from half court. So very, very active coaching throughout the game. But when they were breaking that press, they got the ball past half court. Let's calm down. Let's find Bennett and let's run an action that we like. It was planned out. There was a coordinated effort to it. And I think that's really helpful, particularly when you're trying to find your team. I think, Fran's teams at times did a lot of freewheeling, did a lot of, let's find the hot hand. Whatever. They're not running plays, right? There's not lots of off ball screens all the time. There's not lots of set actions, trying to get certain defenders on certain players or whatever. And with a team that's trying to find its groove, particularly a team that hasn't really played together, obviously half of the team has played together or a third of the team's played together, but the majority of these guys have not played together for a year or two. They don't have a lot of chemistry yet. Hopefully that will come. But when you're building a team, you can't freewheel it all the time. There were a couple times that they did that, and Bennett miscommunicated with a couple of the guards and turned it over a couple times on some bad passes where Bennett's looking to make a break, or somebody else is looking, Tavion Banks looking to make a break, and they just don't quite communicate properly. So again, that freewheeling is tough to do when you don't have a lot of chemistry, when you don't have a lot of camaraderie with your teammates. But it will come. And until they get out of that phase, they're going to have to run a lot of set actions. They're going to have to, Ben's going to have to do a great job. And thankfully, this is what he appears to be best at from all accounts. Reading the stat sheet, reading the scouting report, and coming up with, certain matchups that they want to exploit, certain actions that they want to get to, that they feel that the opposition doesn't defend very well. That is the kind of stuff that will get them through this period of sort of gelling and getting ready for Big Ten play before they really know what they're doing. So good to see that. The other thing, just, being there in person, not that it was on display constantly throughout the game, but really, I mean, I would love to see the two big men, Urok and Fulgaris, get involved in the offense a little bit more, because I was really impressed with a couple of the plays that they made. Cory obviously mentioned the play of the game from Urok that was the nice footwork. I mean, that's a beautiful move. That's a perfect counter to athleticism, especially when you're a freshman that may be just slightly out athleted with some of the power forwards and centers in the Big Ten. Every basketball player and coach and close fan knows that the number one counter in the post to great athleticism is great fundamentals and great footwork. So really good to see that. Really good to see Urok get in there. Fulgaris, couple really nice screen and rolls. He's very capable on the screen and pop. I know he didn't hit a three tonight, but he has a nice stroke, and I think using him in the screen and roll action can really create some problems. Particularly if he does, screen and pop to the mid range, screen and pop to the three. There could be some big guys that in the Big Ten struggle to guard that. So exciting to see that. I would love to see those two get as involved as possible. I think particularly when they need a basket in some of those crunch moments, getting Fulgaris and Sturton in a guard to big pick. It will be, one of their go-tos. I think Urok as the years go on here is going to develop into a really nice player. So those were just two things that were important to me watching in person. Like to point out as well, I only scored, they scored 81 points. Not only, they scored 81 points tonight, and did it on 3-point field goals made the entire night. And they barely shot. I mean, they took 51 shots and 11 of them were threes. They took 42-point shots. So getting that kind of production and shot 20 free throws, which is, it's high, but it's not ridiculous. They were plus 17 on the glass, 50 points in the paint. Very, very impressive. They almost outscored Xavier altogether with their paint points. But being able to score 81 points, maybe it's not against a great team, but to get to 81 points at all in college basketball today with 3-point attempts made and only 11 attempts from three is impressive. It's good to see. It's something that I think will help them be consistent throughout the rest of the year. So those are just a few quick things, and we'll get to some callers now. I think Cory's loading up into the lobby here, so we'll add him back in now. But yeah, just good things to see. Nice to be there in person. My first game in person of the season. I hope to attend a few more. But there you have it. Let's get back to it. We'll throw Cory back in, and then we'll add some of our callers in. You on the road, Cory?
Hey, just so just ignore the face on the logo there. So I don't know what StreamYard trying to do. I don't know if it's trying to demonetize me or what. I guess, man. I don't know. That's back during the facial hair era. I feel like it's like that was so September 2025.
Yeah, old times.
Yeah, so Shane Bolender, he doesn't know how to act when he sees defense and rebounding. I made that comment at the outset of the show, Kyle. Like, how true is that? And you heard it right at the beginning of the game. Within the first 2 minutes, they have like one or two good defensive possessions, and you got the crowd on their feet. You got people. Yeah. I mean, this is again not a great Xavier team. We heard the same thing on television those first two games in Carver against Robert Morris in Western Illinois. So it just kind of shows you where the fan base was.
I said too just a second ago there, I don't know how much you heard there, but I don't know how to act when I see a team score 81 on 11 3-point attempts. I mean, we're used to Iowa taking well into the mid 20s in 3-point attempts. And
Well,
usually, I mean, when they won games, a lot of times it came from 15 threes made like that. Only seeing 3-point field. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing because they scored 50 points in the paint, but it was weird to, I mean, it was unusual to watch in person, kind of jarring to see that they're not just chucking up threes. So it's very, very different.
that is not, I don't anticipate how you said total number of attempts was 11.
They took 11 threes.
Yeah. I just, first of all, I don't believe that's sustainable. That's because the other part of this, yeah, they put up, if I'm huffing and puffing, it's because I'm walking up a hill. Yeah, that's not sustainable because here's the thing about Ben McCollum. He's a big, I can't remember what the conversation was. I think it was with Bennett at Media Day, and I asked him about his mid-range game, and he loves the mid-range. But he basically said Ben McCollum, Coach McCollum he basically doesn't believe in it.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see a ton of games where they're hovering around 10 to 15 threes. I still think in general, expect to see anywhere from 15 to 20. And, but yeah, I mean, they're getting the foul line. That's the big thing.
Big time. I mean, what was their free throw attempts in the first game? They had, what was it? They had 40 free throw attempts almost.
Yeah.
It's
so
in the high 30s, low 40s.
If you're playing the game the right way, you're fundamentally sound. You can win on turnovers, win on rebounds, win at the line, get more trips to the line. You're gonna win a lot of ball games that way.
And
I think,
and it's something that, like, looking at those 3-point shot attempts, right? Like, to me, this is where, like, again, you have the analytics, and I love, I love the analytics, but you also have the eye test part of it where it's like, okay, if you just made a whole bunch of decisions throughout the game and where that got you was 11 3-point attempts, I'm fine with that. I don't have this like benchmark in my head of like, oh, they have to get up 23-point attempts. If it becomes a trend over a long period of time, then maybe you would address it. But it wasn't like, to me, like, seeing them take 11 threes tonight. Like, did you feel like they passed up on a whole bunch of decent looks to try to get in the paint? Like, because I didn't feel like they did that. I don't feel like they artificially kept that number low for any reason.
I thought they got to the rim way too much. If I'm Richard Pitino, that's one of the big things.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
it's a simple sign that my defense isn't playing well enough. Way too many drives to the cup. And I mean, yeah, I think in the Fran McCaffrey offense, even with that style of an attack tonight against that Xavier team, Fran's teams are jacking up at least 23s.
At least, yeah.
But
and that's where I was we were concerned about it, right? Is because even if the game didn't call for it, they were forcing their way to that number because they just felt, this is how we win games.
Yeah. And I think tonight, a few of those threes that would normally have been shot, you're swinging it, you're driving it again, you're making the extra pass. So it's not like, as I was sitting there tonight, Kyle, and you tell me if I'm totally off on this. One of the things that went through my mind tonight was, this isn't like, we knew this wasn't going to be as flashy. It just isn't going to be as flashy. It's not going to be like, it's not going to be as natural to get fans involved. But the difference is when you have 12 years of something, like Fran was the perfect guy post Licklider, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not winning enough and you're over a decade into a tenure, that stuff gets old and fans get angry. And I think that's what happened. Anger turned to apathy. In this case, fans are so eager for something different that they don't mind it looking a little boring as long as they're winning. And then I don't think they have to win at some crazy rate this year, but if they're winning games enough to be competitive in this league, on the bubble come tourney time, fans will be fine. Now, the opposite will happen as well. Like, a couple years into the McCollum era, if they're boring to watch and they're not winning, then guess what? Fans are going to be like, this team's not enjoyable. Nobody's going to go to games. I don't anticipate that will happen.
No.
But I guess my point is, Fran McCaffrey channeled exactly what this team needed, this program needed 12 years ago. Ben McCollum's doing it now.
Yes, absolutely. What question for you, since you're in person, the difference of, speaking of difference in style, Differences between Fran and Ben in person. What do you notice, and what do you think of it? Because I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels a lot more physical. Um, Obviously, you can just tell guys are talking, right?
Yes.
And until you get full crowds in there, and I mean, the student section was involved, engaged, but it should, like, in a year, I would hope that the student section is even better. I hope that there are even more adjustments made to where students are placed. Like, I think those bleachers right behind that basket that's just huge. It gives it a Hilton feel. But you got to do more. To me, I know there's issues with where the band and donors sit and everything. I think there's more that they can do there.
Yeah.
But given the fact that it's not a full house, you can hear guys talking, and that's just something you almost don't notice when it doesn't happen for 12 years. But I never
And
noticed
you
that
can
under
hear Coach McCollum talking too. I mean, calling timeouts. He's walking out on the court shouting at guys. Like, it reminds me a little bit of JJ Redick watching him coach some of his first Laker games, where he saw something defensively that he was upset about, and he calls timeout, and he's like, he's clapping, getting in guys' faces, and like, he's animated. Him and Bennett, particularly in that time where Xavier was pressing, Coach McCollum and Bennett were communicating a lot. I mean, they were talking back and forth a lot as Bennett had the ball at times. And I love that, because it just, I mean, Fran, to me, I don't know if you can see me right now, but he's just standing with his arms crossed. And, if Fran gets animated, it's only to yell at the refs. That was the most of it, right?
Well,
The bulk of
he'd yell. Hey, he'd yell at his guys. I mean, let's not act like he didn't yell at his guys.
at times, but it was not really, to me, it didn't feel
McCollum.
like
I mean,
coaching as much as
part
calling.
of that. I'm not going to try to. I don't want to sound like an ageist here, but part of that is one guy's like 20 years younger than the other. I mean, that is part of it. I'm not saying it's all of it, but I guarantee you, if you went back and watched Fran McCaffrey when he first got hired at Iowa, he was much more involved. I mean, we joke around about Fran McCaffrey being on all fours like an ape at times.
Yeah.
And why are the banners red, by the way? Are they red on your end as well?
No.
Why are they looking red on my end? Anyways,
There's your
so yeah, we talked about him being on all fours. I didn't see him on all fours much the last couple of seasons. Like,
no. Well, he maybe can't get down on all fours anymore.
well, so that's my point. But no, I agree with you. Ben's everywhere, and just from an average bystander's perspective, as I'm watching, I'm looking. We were sitting in one of the corners, halfway up, and just kind of getting a look at both benches. We were closer to the Xavier bench, but as I'm looking at both benches, I couldn't help but think, this is the first time in a while where I'm like, Iowa has the better coach.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to sound overconfident 3 games into a brand new era. And I got respect for Richard. I think Richard Pitino knows a ton about basketball. How could you not, right?
Yeah.
But as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I have a lot more faith in the guy wearing the gold tie with X's and O's and coaching decisions than I do Richard Pitino. And Richard Pitino's been a head coach a lot longer, at least at this level, than Ben McCollum has. So yeah, not that I always lacked confidence in Fran with the X's and O's, but right now Ben has given, and it's early, but he's given no reason for doubt as it relates to his ability to have the right game plan to call the timeouts at the right time, to have the right subs on the floor, and I mean, it's going to take it'll take a while for that to wear off, just because of what you just said. I mean, he just looks engaged. Stylistically, it couldn't be more opposite than Fran, and I just think timing was right.
Yeah, and again, as you're saying, like, people come after, particularly you, whenever we get to these moments of transition, right? We've kind of gotten to that point at times, I would say, through 2022, 2023 with Kirk, right? Where we were kind of on the brink of like, oh, we're almost ready for a change here. And everybody gets up in arms about that, right? Everybody goes crazy when you're going after a coach that's tenured for that long. And the same thing happened with Fran to a lesser degree. As we talked about, I don't think Kirk has quite the cachet, or Fran has quite the cachet with the fan base as Kirk did. But equally, when you go after a coach that was tenured for over a decade like Fran was, people come after him. But it's not so much, again, that like, we're not saying Fran's a bad coach. We're not saying that we're not appreciative of what Fran did. What we're saying is it had run its course, and it did run its course. And this is the, like, when you see those attendance numbers, how can you not think that it ran its course? But this is, yeah, again, it's fresh, and like you're saying, I think it's a really good point. There is some ugliness to it. There is some, not as flashy. Although I think the athleticism has been flashier through a couple games. I think we would probably agree on that. There's elements of the offense that aren't as flashy, but people are willing to overlook those because they're flashy in areas that they otherwise have not been. I mean, even
part
just
of it,
playing.
I mean, unless you're just a total college football, college basketball, or college football junkie, you're used to what you're used to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the bottom line is when Kirk retires, if they go hire somebody,
An air raid.
yeah, if they go hire somebody like Mike Leach, who's going to throw the ball, I mean, we're going to look at it and say, boy, this doesn't look like a very disciplined team. But
Yeah.
we've watched how many years, decades of Kirk Ferentz, Phil Parker, Norm Parker, and I think
Hayden
that's
Fry.
what you're. Yeah, Hayden Fry even, but obviously Hayden was a little bit flashier. But no, I do think timing is everything with this move, and that's why I have some not forgiveness, but I have some sympathy for Fran in the sense that, like, his team wasn't performing. It's not like they were bottom of the league. I mean, they're still competing, at least in the conversation for postseason play up until the end. The difference is that you run out of time. Like, a club can do that now and be in the first year bubble. If they make this year, people will be.
Uh-oh.
Well, you're going to get a weekend.
You cut out for a moment there, Corey, if you want to repeat last probably about 10 seconds.
No, it's just that the last 5 years of Fran's tenure, did people really care about his ability to get to the tournament? It was, nope, he's not getting the second weekend, so we don't care.
Yeah.
So
especially,
it's all about
once they lost to Oregon, that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Because after that, I mean, there was nothing. I mean, he could have gone 15-5 in the Big Ten. If they go out in the second round, nobody cared.
I agree. I'm going to, because I'm heading out the interstate here, I'm going to mute myself, Kyle. You go ahead and do you. You can keep me on here if you'd like, take calls, whatever. And I may chime in here or there. If you got something specific for me, feel free to. I'll have you on here in the background, but I just got to make sure that I'm being safe here. So.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good. All right, everybody. Well, let's continue on here. Fun stuff to talk about. A couple other things just quickly before we get to our callers. Our callers have been waiting, so we're gonna get to them in just a moment. I don't know if this was hit the first 10 minutes of the show, but Bennett Sturtz again playing all 40 minutes. All 40 minutes tonight. Let's see how many minutes has he even missed so far. Let's see. He's played 40, 40, and 36. So he's missed 4 minutes this season so far. We'll see if that continues through Big Ten play. Maybe it will. Maybe Ben's going to ride him the whole way through the Big Ten Conference. I want to see it first to believe it. But Tavion Banks playing 30 minutes tonight. And after that, none of the other starters even hit 20. Maniau hit 18 minutes. Cooper Koch hit 13 minutes. Isaiah Howard hit 14 minutes. And then Fulgaris and Combs off the bench, 24 and 32 minutes respectively. Urach and Hausen playing 8 and 9 minutes. So again, just indicative of Ben kind of messing around with stuff, tinkering with stuff, playing the guys that are the right matchup, trying to figure out who's good with who, and not really, again, who starts night and night out, game to game for this Hawkeye team, especially at the start of the year, is not particularly important to me. All I would like to see is Fulgaris continue to be involved. I think Urach has a lot of room to grow, and then he's gonna play it matchup by matchup, game by game, and that's just how it's gonna be. I think another thing, just to reiterate on some of the stuff we hit on earlier, is that rotation. If that rotation stays at 10 minutes or 10 players throughout the Big Ten conference games, I think that's probably not a great indication. I think that was a good assessment by Cory. you don't see a whole lot of these teams that are going deep in March going 10, 11 deep on their bench, right? They're going 6 deep on their bench, 5 deep on their bench. They're going to have to find the guys that they trust, and there's going to be a couple guys that don't make that cutoff. So we'll see who those guys are if they go that direction. All right. Well, Cory has left us for just a moment. Hopefully be back at some point, maybe have some stuff to hit on later, but let's get to our call-in line. We're going to have to hit some sponsors promos as well, but thank you for sticking with us here. Like to shout out Big Grove. Thank them for their sponsorship. And let's get our RTI Threads player of the game back up. We have Bennett Sturts with 21 points and 8 rebounds, 7 of 13 from the field. Just another efficient performance from the floor general himself. Again, that's our RTI Threads player of the game. I want to thank RTI Threads for their help and their support throughout the season. Let's go ahead and get to James. James, you've been on hold for quite a while. Thank you very much.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. First off, obviously I know Xavier's not good, but the fact that you played a Big East team in a group of or whatever the name is, right, and you beat them the way you should have probably beat them in the way Ken Palm said 14, you beat them by 19, right? You beat them the way you should have beat them is a good sign, right? Like, and you played a little sloppy, but you still beat them the way you should have beat them. That's a good sign, that's how I feel. It's like it's a good sign that you did what you're supposed to do against a team like that.
Absolutely nothing to complain about for sure.
Yeah. The one thing I thought was a little weird is like there's a couple players who I was surprised with, and I'm not even gonna try to say his last name. I'm not gonna mess it up because I know there's multiple ways to say it, but I'm just gonna say Trevin to make it easier, right? Because I ain't gonna try to even mess it up. But Trevin really surprised me, just the way he played, right, with the confidence he had. And I know this is probably the biggest players he's played, the strongest players he's played, right? No offense to the other two teams we played, right? But like the more physical, the stronger guys we played in the last couple of games, right? This is the most physical guys he played, and he played really well, I felt like, in his short amount of time, right? He played really well. And I kind of was surprised. I was like, okay, Trevin, I see you getting limited minutes, but still playing really well in your limited minutes, right? And that's a good sign to see against a team that has strength like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm excited for his growth. I mean, I'm a sucker for as people may know at this point, for good fundamental basketball. I really enjoy. I've said that in past years. Part of the reason why I enjoy Bennett so much is it's not, even in transition too. This is another thing I think to take from tonight in the first couple of games is that Bennett is not only is an awesome floor general in the half court, he's an awesome floor general in transition. He's, you see so many times, you saw it tonight, even with Tavion Banks in transition, a couple of the other guys on both sides. He is very in control despite moving at a fast pace. And you really, really trust his decision making all the way through.
It's not even him too. It's sometimes I can see Kale doing it. I see Tavion Banks doing it. Tavion had a nice pass to Bennett for the dunk, right? Like those kind of things too. Where you see, especially those Drake guys, where you kind of see they all gel together when it comes to transition, right? Because they kind of know where each other's going to be, if that makes sense. And obviously, it's different from like adding Focus, adding Cooper Koch, but they all know where each other's going to be, so they all mesh very well when it comes to transition, doing spot where they hit the spots at or not, where to get in those positions, but. Overall, obviously, you did what you're supposed to do, and I think that's the most key to take out of this, right? Like, there's nothing really to harp on. Obviously, I feel like some of the turnovers are bad, but I feel like Bennett at first when he got double teamed didn't expect it. Like he knew it was coming, but he didn't come. The one time he tried to throw it over the guy's head and it just didn't get there. And after that, he's like, okay, now I got to change my approach. And he changed his approach and it worked. And then we had no issue again. You know what I mean? Like, he turned it over like twice in a row almost, but then he kind of changed it. Like, okay, I'll change my approach. And they never did it again. So I was like, I'm fine with it. Yeah. If you do it a couple times, it happens. You got to learn from it, and he learned from it and moved on, so.
Yeah. He's obviously a kid that reads the scouting report and reads the box score and all that kind of stuff. He's got, you'll surprise a player like that once or twice. And then after that, they'll be coached. Either they'll have come up with counters or they'll have been coached counters to a lot of the stuff that people will throw at them. So again, he's an extremely calming presence. He raises the floor of this team tremendously, I think, just because you just know if there's ever a scoring run that the other team goes on in Big Ten play, somebody goes on a 10-0 run or an 8-0 run, Bennett's going to ask for the ball. Everybody's going to call him down. We're going to run something that we've run in practice 50 million times, and we're going to get a shot that we like. And that's, I think, again, some of those teams that Fran coached, especially towards the end there, right, when they didn't play with that structure and they didn't have that. I mean, Cory pounded the desk over and over and over again for some kind of floor general. We talked about how teams that do well in March have good guard play, have that controlling presence. Bennett is that guy. He's the guy that can hit the brakes and just say, hey, we're playing a little too fast. We're getting uncomfortable. We're, maybe playing into their hands a little bit, playing their type of game. Let's just get a good shot from an action that we know, and let's get out of this funk. And he's going to raise the floor of the team tremendously as a result of that.
Yeah, and as well as McCollum, right? And I know he's been coaching for a while. He's one of the best to do it, right? But I feel like he was taking timeouts at the perfect time, as well as when he was taking timeouts, look at the reaction, the response from the team, right? Like in the first half, he took a timeout, and I think they went on that big run, that 17 or whatever it was, 13 or run, whatever it was, right? He took a timeout, they went on a run. The second half, Xavier came out, they kind of were making shots. He takes the timeout, we kind of shut them down, and then it's either back and forth or they miss a shot, we make a couple. You know what I'm saying? Like his timeouts today were really well thought out. Well, I mean, obviously some of them were from mistakes, right? They made a mistake defensively, he took the timeout, yells at them, but then after that they responded. You know what I mean? Like they didn't make that same mistake again. And sometimes with Fran's team, I don't even know what Fran's in the huddle with, but you'll see him call a timeout after something, and then what he calls a timeout for, they do the exact same thing, right? Like when Fran was coaching, right? Like they would still do the same thing over and over again when you call a timeout.
It's the way that they communicate too. Like with some of the Fran teams, some of the things, especially like in that Illinois, if you go back and look at that Illinois Big Ten tournament game where, that ended up being the last game that Fran ever coached for Iowa, or any of those teams down the stretch or games down the stretch in the Big Ten that year. Like Fran is saying something to the players, and sometimes they're receptive to it, and sometimes they're like, whoa, why are you attacking me? Right. And teams with cohesion, teams that are together in that sense, like Ben was yelling at Bennett over and over again in that second half. I mean, from the sidelines, he was he was going at him like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. But and whether it's the chemistry that they have from Drake, obviously, or just whatever mutual respect that the team has been able to build, Ben can communicate. Like I was saying earlier, coming in out of timeouts is so important, because going into the timeouts, he's running out on the court. He's yelling something. He's pointing at spots on the floor they're supposed to be at. He is coaching, and they take it as coaching. They don't take it as personal. And that's so, when stuff gets toxic, when Fran's saying stuff and they're not listening, that has to be the end of it. He has to go, because if he loses the ear of the team in that way, he can't do what he's paid to do, which is coach. Ben can coach, and they can take it as coaching and not personal. And they can say, okay, and maybe it's the respect they have for his IQ. Maybe they look at this and they just go, this guy's a genius. He probably is onto something. If he sees something I don't, maybe I need to listen. Right. Like, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, he can communicate with them in a way that Fran could not necessarily communicate with his players last year.
You also seen him a couple times where he took the time out, yelled at Maniel, and because he messed up defensively, he got out of position, and then they had the easy bucket, right? And then after that, Cam made a couple good plays, right? And then even seeing with Isaiah Howard, I know Isaiah Howard kind of struggled today, he turned it over a couple times early, got taken out the game, but then in the second half, he made a mistake again, got yelled at. And when he came back in, he was a little better, right? He kind of had a bad day today out of anybody. Isaiah wasn't the best out of anybody, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
Just it happens, and good move on. Obviously, you have 2 more games you should win before you get into that tournament, whether Ole Miss and then obviously Utah and Grand Canyon, right? But it's just good to see, and us to keep hopefully we play well. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, James?
Nope. Enjoy your night, and glad to have you guys on. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you, James. All right. Well, thank you, James, for calling in. Cory just put the ticker up there. I'm going to insert the link into the chat, unless Cory just did that. I guess we just did that. So, yep, in the live chat up on the screen in the description, we've got our StreamYard call-in line, our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. So please give that a call to talk through this game with us. Any thoughts that you have on what you've seen so far in the Ben McCollum era, what you think we're going to see going forward?
Can I say this? There were some number 12. We'll say there was one guy, number 12 for Xavier, and you probably got his name up on the box score. we had people in our section making Aaron Gordon like it was he looked like a mix between Aaron Gordon and Steven Adams. I will say that guy
Yeah.
could ball. That guy
Yeah,
that guy could ball.
yeah. He got 35 minutes tonight too. Yeah.
What was his final stat line?
He had 12, 5, and 2, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, and a steal.
Okay.
And he took 14 shots and made 5 of them. So not super efficient, but no, he absolutely made a couple nice plays. They just don't. I don't know. I mean, you could have showed me the Ken Palm before the game, and I would have been like, yeah, that's exactly what they look like. I mean, they did not look.
Well, what started to me, I mean, Ken Palm, again, it just can't possibly, I have a lot of respect for what Ken Pomeroy does. I'm not going to even begin to act like I understand it totally. But one of the things that amazed me about those ratings as I'm looking at them is, of course, I didn't have this was during the game, so not factoring today's game in. I counted, you might prove me wrong, I counted one high major program rated worse than Xavier. And it was Boston College, and they were one spot less. That means every team in the ACC, every team in the Big Ten, every team in the Big 12, every team in the Big East, everybody is considered a better program right now, as of right now, this season, than the team Iowa faced tonight in Xavier. So I will say I'm not in like doing football games, so I did not expect. I expected a Richard Pitino coached Xavier team maybe to be a little further along than what they clearly are right now. So, yeah, I mean, take it all with a grain of salt. I think Doug hit the point on the head earlier. Like they got to take advantage. I don't want to say there's like a must win. It's not a must win out against Ole Miss, but I mean, it's going to be that and Iowa State potentially as the only real opportunities at marquee non-conference wins. Like they don't have anybody else. I mean, I don't know what Grand Canyon. What do you have? Ken Pomeroy's ratings up there? Did you want? Where's
I do?
Utah and Grand Canyon. Where are those two teams right now?
Utah. I've got Utah at 98 and Grand Canyon at 95. So
those two teams do absolutely nothing for Iowa's resume. All right.
No, they do nothing.
So
so
the loser of Iowa Ole Miss is going to come back home very disappointing, regardless of what they do in game 2. And that's interesting that I don't know. Where is Iowa right now in Ken Pomeroy's ratings?
Like 37, I think, or 39. They're 39th. Iowa State's 8th in Ken Pom. Now, I do want to clarify just because it's important to do it, I think. With Ken Pom's ratings, Ken Pom, he rates every team in the preseason. He'll set metrics. And basically, in the first, I think until they have 10 games or something like that completed, his rankings will gradually be replaced in weighting by the actual outcome. So until we get to 10 games in, Ken Pom is not set. It's not a real clear indicator beyond what he thought of the team's preseason, which, sometimes he may get that spot on, but it could be like the AP poll in a sense where maybe he thought, a certain team was going to be good or bad or set certain metrics on them. And then gradually we found out that they were better. So I tend not to take Ken Pom. I take Ken Pom very seriously later on in the season. I don't tend to take it super, super seriously until we get to that like 8-10 game range, because until then, a lot of what we're relying on is what he thought. Like 3 games into the season, we're relying a lot on what Ken Pomeroy thought of the team's preseason. Again, maybe he gets them all right. Maybe he gets most of them right. But it's not, it's the ratings and stuff are not purely based on outcomes to this point. It's outcomes blended with and gradually phasing out his preseason predictions. So interesting stuff there. And again, like as we talk about, Xavier, Iowa State, and Ole Miss with the light non-conference schedule at this point, really only looking like Ole Miss and Iowa State will be factors. It's not Iowa's fault. Again, you schedule a team like Xavier, you expect to get a decent opponent, right? That's why they would have scheduled that game. And as it turns out, Xavier may be one of the worst. Based on early results, again, we don't know this. Maybe Xavier turns out to be okay, but it's hard. It'd be hard to imagine that there's a team with, of the sort of not blue blood. I don't know if Xavier's a blue blood. They're not a blue blood, but teams that are sort of middle of the pack blue bloods. They're definitely a top 20, 25 program historically. It's hard to imagine that a team of that caliber has a worse resume right now than Xavier, given those two very close wins at home to absolute trash cans. Not to disrespect Marist or Lemoyne, but relative to major college basketball, that's a nothing game.
So, real quick, where is Lemoyne? What I mean, seriously.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, they could be in the 300s. They're 332. 300. So they almost lost to the 332 ranked team in Ken Palm. Marist is 156. And then let's find the team they lost to. They lost to Santa Clara. Santa Clara is 75. So they're not horrible, but the other, I mean, they were in a close game with then that's right in the range of where Eastern Illinois was that year that Iowa lost to them.
What wasn't Marist the name of Fran McCaffrey's daughter?
Merritt.
Merritt.
M-A-R-I-T, I think is her name.
Okay. I was gonna say, is Lemoyne left of Des Moines or something on the map? I seriously have no idea I have no idea where that school is. I didn't even know that school existed before.
They're the Lemoyne Dolphins. They are from Syracuse, New York. There's let's see how many students they have. How many students do they have? Student population. Lemoyne has they have 3,400 students, so they are about the size of they're actually just smaller than my NAIA school.
Just can I say this? I'm going to call you out on something because I'm tired of it. We got to stop this nonsense about saying, well, it's not Iowa's fault that Xavier's no good. I don't care whose fault it is. The committee in March is not going to sit there and say, well, yeah, but Xavier normally would be good, and that doesn't. The reality is what the reality is.
It doesn't matter. But when did they schedule Xavier?
Why does it matter when they schedule Xavier? Why do we care when they schedule?
I'm not saying this is going to help them later. I'm just saying I'm not going to blame Iowa for scheduling Xavier and getting crap. That's not their fault.
No. If we're talking
either. But. Can't hear anything on Cory's end if he's trying to blame Iowa for scheduling Xavier again. I can't hear it. So, but anyways, I'm not saying that they're going to somehow get to the end of the season and say, oh, they scheduled Xavier trying to get a good game and they didn't. That's not going to help their resume, no doubt. But from an Iowa fan's perspective, I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh, well, they only scheduled, they only scheduled 2 real games in the non-conference. They tried to schedule this third game. I'm trying to look at their schedule just to see who else. I mean, there's not really any other real attempts. So I guess it's still not. I mean, it's not a great schedule, even if Xavier was really good. But I mean, the bottom line in this day and age is you look at this Big Ten schedule. You go on the road to Michigan State. You host UCLA, who's looking good this year. You host Illinois, who looks really, really good this year. You go to Purdue, who obviously coming off of a huge win against Alabama. A lot of these road games, I don't know exactly where these teams are in Ken Palm, but road games against Maryland, obviously at Wisconsin. I mean, they have no shortage of opportunities to earn quad 1 wins. I mean, they may end up playing. I don't know how many quad 1 wins they're going to play, but they absolutely have an opportunity, regardless of the non-conference schedule, playing 20 games in the Big Ten. Maybe half of them will be quad 1 because a lot of your road games are quad 1. More than half your Big Ten games could end up being quad 1 if you get a few good home matchups. They got a home matchup against Michigan. They played Purdue twice. So there's 3 for sure. You got Illinois on there once, so that's 4. UCLA 5, Iowa State 6, Michigan State 7. I mean, you rattle off quad 1 win after quad 1 win if they can go and get them. Again, not saying they're going to win all those games, but they got plenty of opportunities in front of them to go ahead and do that. So, yeah.
No, real quick. What I was trying to say is I agree with you on scheduling. I'm not blaming Iowa for that. I'm just simply saying it's just like Iowa football schedule in 2015. They really didn't play anybody, and so it's unfortunate. It's not Iowa's fault that the Big Ten schedule happened to be that year Northwestern, Wisconsin, and Wisconsin was kind of down, and it isn't their fault, but it will make it harder on them to build a resume. That's all I'm saying. Fewer opportunities at marquee victories.
I mean, what does like, and I'm not super familiar with other Big Ten team schedules. I mean, do other Big Ten teams have like 3 or 4 quad one games in their non-conference already? Like
I have no idea.
If I look at Illinois, Illinois has Texas Tech, Alabama, UConn, Tennessee.
All right, stop right there.
Illinois is a premier program now.
Illinois' schedule is already better, and you just named 2 teams.
Well, I know. I'm just asking out of quad one games, how many? I mean, they have Texas Tech, Alabama, UConn, Tennessee in their non-conference. So that's
you just named 4 powers.
well, no, I know, but I'm saying they only count for 1 quad one win if we're doing the quad game. Like, I know they're good teams, and they've already gone and beaten Texas Tech. I wonder, and again, comparing Iowa to Illinois, let's be clear about what we're saying here. Iowa is not on Illinois' level yet as a basketball program. They're just not. Illinois this year, both this year and over the last several seasons, has been really, really good. If we compare Iowa to
real quick, can I just say this? I guarantee you, if you compare these schedules, Illinois' got a more difficult schedule. Michigan State's got a more difficult schedule. I would say 2/3 of the league has a more difficult schedule. I think it's hard to schedule. I'm just saying, it's hard as is. It's hard to have, like, they scheduled, I'm not blaming Ben McCollum, it's year one. I'm just simply saying they scheduled Xavier at home, and then they played a 2-day tournament with the likes of one solid SEC program, one average Big 12 program, and then another mid-major that is sometimes good, sometimes not. And that's it besides their rival game against Iowa State. So I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm looking at Wisconsin right now. Wisconsin has Marquette, who's not very good this year to my knowledge. Or was that let me see. Where's Marquette and Ken Palm? Okay, they're 51, so they're not bad. But Wisconsin has Marquette. They have Villanova, who's around 50, and Ken Palm, and they have BYU, and that's all they have. So, I mean, again, if Marquette or Villanova turns out to be not very good, they're in the same position as Iowa. I mean, it's just difficult. Like, again, you can compare Iowa to the Big Ten, but like Purdue, obviously Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, those types of teams, they're going to schedule premier opponents because they feel like at Iowa, right? It's a risk to some degree, and I assume Fran saw it this way because obviously we lamented his non-conference schedule, but it's a risk to some degree at Iowa if you lose a few games in the non-conference that then you don't build up enough wins in the conference to make the tournament. Like, you just don't get to a raw win total that's acceptable. At Purdue and Michigan and Illinois, they're not concerned about that. But Purdue had a big win against Alabama. Let's see who else Purdue actually plays Iowa State at home. That'll be an interesting game to compare and contrast to what Iowa does against them. And then they have Marquette and they have Auburn, who's pretty good. And they have Memphis. How good is Memphis?
Can I ask you a question? What does Iowa do at Iowa State? Have you already started to think about that game, Kyle?
A little bit. I haven't, truthfully, I haven't seen enough of Iowa State to really make a judgment. But
well, they look darn good against Mississippi State the other night. I'll tell you that.
I know. I'm not questioning that they look good. I just haven't watched it. But Mississippi State. What's Mississippi State so far? Mississippi State is 35th, so they're decent.
I mean, they dominated Mississippi State. That was a real impressive neutral site win.
Man, Iowa State has a heck of a non-conference. They've got Mississippi State, they've got St. John's, they've got Creighton, they've got Purdue, and they've got Iowa. So that's a good schedule.
They played Creighton already in an exhibition to get them twice. Obviously,
that's interesting. Why, as a coach, that's interesting. Why would you schedule an exhibition against the team you're playing in a month?
I don't know. Was that game a charity game? I have no idea what.
I don't care what charity I'm raising money for. I don't know that I would do that if I was. I'm not saying I don't care about charity, but I'll have anybody else in the country that I'm not playing on my schedule. That's who I'll have in to raise money for charity. I'm not raising money against somebody that's coming to play me, or I guess they're going to Creighton. That's a tough environment too. That'll be interesting to see. But they have Iowa State has a very good non-conference slate. Again, I'm not saying that it's not a bad thing. I think it is a bad thing. I'm just not going to blame. I'm not going to blame Iowa. I'm assuming those games were I don't even know how far in advance those games are even scheduled, but maybe it was even scheduled before McCollum was there. But yeah, it's certainly unfortunate that Xavier's not as good as anticipated. We better hope Ole Miss is, because if they turn out to be not legitimate,
again, it's not do or die. Hey, if they go to Iowa State and win, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they do that, that would be one of the best non-conference wins probably in the conference, like for any Big Ten.
What do you think that BPI gives Iowa in terms of a percentage chance to win that Iowa State game in Hilton?
I would say probably I'm pretty good with BPI. I'll say 7%.
8%.
See, I told you I'm good with BPI.
91.8% that Iowa State gets out of there. And I guess KenPom, let's have a look at that. So KenPom neutral site has Iowa State at a plus 27 rating, and they have Iowa at a plus 18. So they have Iowa State as a 9-point underdog on a neutral site. So they would probably have a 15-point spread on this game, roughly, at Hilton. So that's going to be tough. And Iowa State has the 3rd ranked defense in KenPom so far and the 27th ranked offense. Iowa is the 55th ranked defense and the 32nd ranked offense, which I think that 55th ranked defense, we did this last year at some point. When was the last time Iowa finished with a 55th or higher ranked defense? I think it was there was 1 year in the last decade that they finished that high. It was something crazy like that. But anyways,
well, let's remember what those Iowa State teams had been doing to France teams when they visited Hilton.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
So now here's the deal. We all know this. Iowa's not as talented as Iowa State this year, but I have no doubt Iowa will be ready for that game, because they're gonna defend and they're gonna rebound. So.
Yeah.
Will I be shocked if Iowa State wins that game going away? No. But I also won't be shocked if Ben McCollum gets that game at least within single digits late. I think Iowa could keep it close just because of how they play. And Iowa State plays the same way.
Yeah, they do. So it'll probably it could be a 58-60 type of game, or 54-56 type of game. And those, the margin at a certain point does matter for net ratings, right? But obviously it doesn't matter for the quadrant system. It's a win or a loss in the quadrant system, but for net rating, which also, and KenPom, I guess, as well, that also plays a role in getting teams into the tournament. The margin will matter. So and it'll be interesting to see. One of the things that I am curious about, and Cory, you can chime in if you have any thoughts here, but I'm curious to see if, because I agree with you, I think they will keep more of their losses close. Because if we go back and we look at last season, particularly, obviously that Illinois game was a big blowout at the end. Let's have a look at some of the margins of defeats. They lost by 8 to Utah State, lost by 2 to Michigan. They lost by 9 at home to Iowa State. They got nuked at Wisconsin. Everybody remembers that game because they gave up 116 points. They got nuked by UCLA by 24. They lost by 10 to USC. That was a horrible West Coast trip out there.
Real quick, I had forgot. Please don't remind me of some of those defensive performances last year at UCLA.
That Wisconsin game, I was like, oh my goodness, guys.
Wisconsin, those games signaled we're done. This era has to end.
Do you remember the second half total they gave up in that Wisconsin game?
Was it 70 or 60?
They gave up 62 points and a half.
Well, they gave up 119 for the game, so
yeah, 116. So they gave up 52 or 54 in the first half, and then they gave up 54 in the first half, 62 in the second half. They gave up, oh my gosh. They gave up 67% shooting, and they gave up 68% from 3 in that game. Oh my goodness. They had Wisconsin had 21 3-point field goals made. So back to my question, because I do have a genuine question for you. going back and looking at those games again, we can go and list off. We had the West Coast trip. We had Wisconsin. They got thrashed in the tournament. They lost by 20 at Illinois. That was a blowout. They got nuked at Maryland as well. They got blown out by Ohio State on the road. Those games, I mean, if Ben somehow manages to get a similar win total off of the back of a bunch of close losses because the defense is better, because again, with him playing a little bit slower, that combination with the defense now being a little bit better, hopefully, and rebounding being a little bit better, will that, I wonder, will that reflect in the net ratings at the end of the year? Because you have to imagine when we're looking at net ratings, them going and losing by 31 against Wisconsin is killing their net rating. It has to be. And then losing by 10 to USC, losing by 24 to UCLA.
Well,
is that something that is
I want to make sure
advantageous?
I want to make sure we're not delivering fake news. I believe that net ratings only factor in margin of victory up to 10 points. I believe that's been stated before. So I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding, is that it's capped at 10.
Okay, let me confirm that, because that's important. I wasn't aware of that, so let me make sure I'm not putting out stuff that's. And even so, maybe they have less 10+ point losses. I mean, maybe a couple of those games becoming 6-point losses helps still, but it wouldn't make as big of a difference, granted. And,
while you're doing that, let me just give a quick plug to our RTI Threads player of the game, Bennett Sturts, 21 points, 7 of 13 from the field, 7 of 8 from the line, 8 rebounds. Here's my bold prediction, Kyle. I think Bennett Sturts logs a triple.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know when that will happen. Right now he's being asked to score a little bit more than I think. I mean, obviously he's going to be putting up 20 a game. He's projected as a potential first-team All-American. So, but if this team's clicking offensively later in the year, and you got Brendan Hazen making threes, I think Tate Sage's offensive game could really come along. I like what I'm seeing from him early. He looks more comfortable than I would have expected for a no-name true freshman in a brand new system. But I think in time, if the rest of the offense starts clicking, they start hitting threes, you're going to see Sturts' assist numbers go up, and you're probably going to get, 21 semi-regularly. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a triple-double or two from him this year.
Yes, and just to confirm, you are correct. So the formula is not released exactly, but it's adjusted net efficiency, so offensive efficiency minus defensive efficiency, and then they factor in road losses or road wins helping more, home losses hurt more, and the margin of victory for the formula for that is capped at 10. So winning by 40 is the same as 10. The reason they put that in, according to the NCAA, is that it avoids an incentive to run up the score. So yes, that is capped at 10. So perhaps not as big of a difference as I thought, just with that in mind. So, yeah, interesting, and I agree with that. Could definitely see a triple-double at some point. There's a lot of Bennett's kickouts as well that are not resulting in three-point shots being taken right now. Not even made, but taken. I mean, when you're taking 11 a game, you're taking 1-3 every 4 minutes roughly. There's just not a lot of opportunities there for guys to pile up huge assists. He's getting some of those assists, in the pick and roll. And that, man, I mean, he's at 21 a game right now, almost 22 a game, and he's at 7 assists a game, even with, not a lot of 3-point attempts for the team. So if that number starts to come up a little bit and Bennett starts to he's got to rebound a little bit as well too. He had 8 rebounds tonight, but first couple of games he had 1 rebound combined. So that's something he's going to have to do to get to triple double land. But certainly, I mean, those are impressive numbers. He's shooting 62% from the field so far. He's shooting, 4 of 8 plus. So he's shooting 6 of 13 from 3 so far. 6 of 13, because I'm not a math whiz, is 46%. So very efficient all over the floor. It's going to be interesting to see his shot selection evolve throughout the year, because he does like that mid-range. And obviously Coach McCollum, being the analytics guy that he is, maybe doesn't love it, but I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it. I think it keeps defenses balanced. There's a lot of years watching the James Harden Rockets where they were literally anything beyond the 3-point line or at the rim. That was all that they took. And, you know, as soon as they added Chris Paul and started allowing him to take some of those mid-range shots is when he unlocked their offense. So obviously it's not all three and at the rim. Let's have a look here again. If you want to call in, we're probably running out of time for tonight at some point, but if you do want to call in, I'll drop that link in the chat real quick, and let's see if we have any comments starred. VMS BIGOT. I don't know how to say that. VMS Bigot or VMS Bigot Bigot says, "Get home safe, Corey." Absolutely. Want Cory to make it home in one piece. Keep chiming in as we get back to Ames. Copper Stacker says this Iowa basketball team is very good. They are well balanced and deep. And then he adds, Iowa will crush Illinois. Sir, with all due respect, I don't think we know either of those things. Illinois is really good.
Yeah.
Illinois is really, really good.
So
and they're coming to Carver, and BPI gives them a 73% chance. So with all due respect, they are not going to crush Illinois.
What do we think about Big Grove's big play of the day? I guess I heard you kind of chime in on that.
I'm so glad you picked that. It was exactly where my head was going, because I would love to see them, and I'm curious what you think about this. I know obviously Bennett being the guard heavy guy, I would love to see them pair Bennett with Fulgaris or Giroc in the screen and roll action, because I think both of those guys have skills that, I mean, there's just no way to defend a big guy that can. I mean, Fulgaris had a couple of those passes on other guys diving to the rim, and to have a big guy that has that kind of vision and also has some shooting touch and footwork around the paint. I'm really excited for him for Trevin down the road, because I think he could develop into a really nice player. I know we haven't seen a ton from him, but I have a soft spot for that kind of play.
Well, you know who he kind of looks like? I know this is going to make some people angry, because how dare you, right? Do you know who he kind of looks like? Somebody else who was about the same size, same size, same shape, similar skills. Who am I thinking of, Kyle? Come on now.
I feel I've got somebody in mind. I just can't.
No, this like I say, this is he looks like Luka. As far as how he's shaped, that's how what he looks like.
Yeah. I mean, it's blasphemy, but I'll allow it. But no, you know what I need to do is I need to go back and I need to watch underclassman Luka Garza compared to him at the end of the season.
I think he's got a similar skill set. I'm again of when Luka was a freshman. I think he's got I'm not saying he's going to develop into what Luka was, but he's got a similar skill set. He can shoot the three. He's got really good footwork. I think very limited from an athleticism standpoint. No, and they're about the same height, same shape.
The thing that Luka sent him that set him apart from everybody else, in my opinion, was the intangibles. Luka was relentless. I mean, for somebody at his size, like I just remember from, obviously he broke out in that game at Michigan where he scored 44. But it was just, I mean, he got some momentum, he got some stuff going inside, and it was just pounded into him every possession, and he was going at it obviously with you've seen the Frank Garza workouts, the legendary Frank Garza workouts that everybody attributes that to. But that's the thing that would push him to the next level. Is obviously we've seen those skills in spots, but Luka early in his senior season, I mean, we can go pull the numbers up. He was playing a half and he was getting 15 shots up in a half and scoring, 33 points on 15, 17 shots. I mean, just relentless every possession. So we'll see if Trevin has that or not. But I don't hate it. There's a long way to go, but I don't hate the the comparison.
I'm not making a comparison to like what I think he's going to become or his talent level.
Almost just what he was when Luka arrived.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, just the basic size, what he looks like, his strengths versus his weaknesses, I think there's a lot of parallels there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. And that was
Ray, remember Luka could barely move. He had a big old basketball goiter sticking out of his side at one point when he was an underclassman. He could barely.
I know.
He was a different guy as an underclassman.
He absolutely was. Once he got that, what was it, 8 pounds or something that he got drained out of his abdomen there? Is that accurate?
I believe it was 9 pounds, but who's counting?
Yeah, well, it makes it all the more impressive. Speaking of Luka Garza, I'd like to fill everybody in because in case you've not been watching the NBA, Luka Garza's had himself a couple of games, 7 points and 4 rebounds on 55% from the field. He's had, he's had 4 double-digit appearances for the Boston Celtics, obviously, who lost Kristaps Porzingis in the offseason, so replacing some of Kristaps' minutes. Obviously, a Boston team that is hurting without Jason Tatum, without a lot of their key pieces that they traded away from their championship team to avoid the luxury tax. But I've got a couple of his stat lines. He had just the other night against Memphis, he had 14 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Played at Orlando, had 16 points, 7 of 8 from the field. Played at New Orleans, had 16, 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. And then against Cleveland at home, had 10 points on 6 shots, 3 of 6 from the field. So great to see Luka get that opportunity.
He gonna keep playing if he's scoring in double figures. If he's efficient,
and he should have been. I'm upset he hasn't got this opportunity before. I don't care that he's bad on defense. Every team in the NBA is bad on defense on a night-to-night basis. It only matters when you get to the playoffs because teams scheme for you. But night in, night out, him being bad on defense. I mean, the Lakers are starting DeAndre Ayton. My gosh, DeAndre Ayton doesn't care about defense. DeAndre Ayton doesn't try to play defense. If he could score, like you're saying, double figures and play DeAndre Ayton style offense with that kind of effectiveness, he should have gotten this opportunity years ago. If he wasn't on a team like the Timberwolves that had Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid already on the team, he would have been in this position a long time ago.
Yeah.
Maybe the Mavericks can trade for Luka Garza once they trade away Anthony Davis here in a couple of weeks. What do you think?
So I'm not going to make this into an NBA discussion, but who do the Celtics have anybody left as far as trade assets besides their big three? I guess
they do have picks from some of the, from sending players away. I mean, the only assets that they really have right now are obviously they have Jaylen Brown, and they have Derek White. I would say is probably their biggest asset that they're willing to trade. Anthony Simons.
They're not going to trade. Jaylen Brown isn't touchable.
Jaylen Brown is. I mean, they've said they're not trading him. The Celtics owner has said they're not. Yeah, they're not trading him. So I'm saying Derek White is their probably their best tradable asset behind the guys that they are saying they're not going to trade. They have. Even guys that would be considered. I guess Peyton Pritchard is. I mean, he's a bench player, so I'm not counting him over Derek White and Anthony Simons. Good young player, maybe because of his age, he's a more valued asset. But yeah, I mean, Derek White's really their only guy left because they got rid of Porzingis, they got rid of Drew Holiday, they got rid of Al Horford, they got rid of a lot of guys that they built that nice run of conference finals and NBA finals appearances with.
But just for the record, the last time the Mavs tried to team up with the Celtics for a trade, they lost the unicorn and got Grant Williams, who then was shipped off to Charlotte. So I'm not really excited about
that. Was a different. Hey, you were trading with Danny Ainge back then. That's different.
Oh, is that different? Well,
Danny Ainge traded an injured Isaiah Thomas for Kyrie Irving. Danny Ainge was fleecing people left and right. Danny Ainge got the Brooklyn Nets to take on like a 50-year-old Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett for like $1 million picks. He was screwing everyone.
He's still not Rob Pelinka, though. As much as you got to respect Danny Ainge, he's still not Pelinka. Anyways.
You think Pelinka's a better GM than Danny Ainge?
No. are we talking about who's a better GM, or are we talking about fleecing people? Can we not go down this rabbit hole, please?
Rob Pelinka had Luka Doncic dropped in his lap. He didn't fleece anybody. They offered him Luka straight up for AD. He didn't do anything. They literally, in the reporting, they said that
I don't need you to tell. I don't need you to tell me what happened.
Danny Ainge went out and fleeced people.
Hey, I don't need you to tell me what happened. I'm fully aware of what happened in Dallas. All right.
Rob Pelinka didn't fleece anybody. He had it dropped on him.
Okay. Well, the entire Mavs organization, the entire Mavs fan base was fleeced, but
that would be correct. But they fleeced themselves. They didn't. They like Nico Harris fleeced the Mavs.
The healing. I didn't do a live stream because people on this channel don't care about the Mavs, but the healing process has begun. So that's all I can say. We can finally start to heal in Dallas. That's going to be a process, but.
The crazy thing is, if they could get their, I mean, I don't know what the status is of that relationship, and some really interesting reporting. Again, we're not going to turn this into a full NBA show, but interesting reporting with the Lakers allegedly shipping Anthony Davis around last year. They discussed trade packages with the Celtics last year before the Doncic trade. But the funny thing again about the Mavs is I know they're off to a bad start, but in theory, you look at the roster and you go, that team, if everything went right, could win a world championship, right? Now you need a lot to go right at this point because they're 14th in the West. They're 3-10, but
everything I'm hearing is from all the quote unquote experts is that they should be tanking because they have no picks. They've got to start figuring out a way. Like I'm hearing stuff about Anthony Davis being shipped off before the trade deadline. So I don't know. I'm one thing I'm not good at, Kyle. One thing I am not good at. I'm a big Mavs guy. I've never been a trade value. Well, obviously I knew that the Doncic trade was horrible value, but I've never been somebody that even begins to understand salary caps and aprons and all these different terms that trying to navigate how many picks this team got, cash incentives here, 3-team trade. I've just never been that guy. So I don't know what's best for them in the long run, but I just want Luka back, man. That's all I want. I just want Luka back.
He's not walking through that door anytime
I'll tell you this right now, Kyle. I would take 2 straight years of Dallas not winning a single game if it meant they got Luka back in 2027. That's where my mind is. Okay.
Oh dear.
Anyways, let's get off this subject.
Is there anything? Because I've kind of gone through most of what I want to get to. Is there anything that you want to?
No, I just want to say this. We'll change the title. Coach Close was. I'll just be very open. Coach Close is on vacation right now. A dinner that he was committed to, and so it was going to be tight to get him on, and I know he didn't want to be here if he wasn't able to watch a good portion of the game. So, Coach Close will be back, but he's I know he's okay. He's not injured or anything like that. So we don't need to send out an SOS signal. But we'll get him back here soon. If you can, Kyle, let's just share your screen so people can know how to get over to rtithreads.com.
Yes.
The NIL stuff. And other than that, unless there's any super chats or comments that we haven't gotten to, I don't see anybody on the phone line. I'll let you wind things down.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back. We've got obviously Iowa versus USC tomorrow. So join us for post-game show. Is that just you and Coach tomorrow, Cory?
Hey, real quick, Matt Kroll. We're going to get Matt Kroll on a little bit longer tomorrow because Coach Patterson will be a part of the show, but he's going to be he'll actually be in Macomb. He's being honored by his Leathernecks program.
Okay. Well, that's always good to hear. And that'll be an interesting game for Iowa. Forecast, I assume, has not changed yet. Last I heard, it's supposed to be quite rainy.
I've not looked at it, but last I saw monsoon-like.
Okay. Let's pull this up real quick, and then we'll get to RTI threads and wrap up here. Los Angeles weather for tomorrow. Yeah, we've got an 85% chance of precipitation throughout the game. So I don't know what that means for. One of my first news stories I've got 1 hour ago. SoCal braces for flooding, mudslides, evacuations, and heavy rain.
Amen. Just I shouldn't make because honestly, mudslides out there very dangerous. But from a football perspective, muddy it up as much as possible. That I think it's a bigger advantage to Iowa in this game than it was to Iowa last game. Just simply because obviously they don't have home field. USC has better receivers than Oregon has. Oregon was down one of their best receivers in Cory and Moore. I think Mayaba's I think Mayaba's just better than Dante Moore. He's definitely a better runner, maybe he ends up hurting them more on the ground. But if you could take away Mekhi Lemon to some extent, man, that would be helpful because that dude is legitimate.
And where does USC rank in rushing? Do you know?
I have all those stats in my office. They're top. I want to say they're top 30 or so in rush offense. They're top. I think they're top 5 in pass offense. Top 5 in total offense.
Wow, it's impressive. And Oregon was after that Iowa game. Oregon has moved up to 6th in the country in rushing. Let's find USC here. USC up to 22nd in the country. So they actually have a stronger rushing attack by the numbers than Iowa does. Iowa at 48th. Iowa 176 yards a game. Obviously that fell off quite a bit with that Oregon game. Not getting close to their averages. USC runs for 200.2 yards a game. So but you have to wonder if a lot of that is due to the openness that rushing attack has due to the passing game. We'll see if that gets clogged up at all, if they can't throw as well as normal.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well. Like if you take away Lemon, Jacoby Lane, maybe things simplify a little bit. They're also down. Like just what's crazy about USC is as great as their numbers on the ground have been, they're doing it with a walk-on running back. Like this King guy, like he wasn't even in the cards preseason. They had Eli Sanders, the former Iowa State running back, and then they had a JUCO transfer who was expected to put up big numbers. He was putting up big numbers before he went down. So they're actually banged up at running back. So my hope, if you're a Hawkeye fan and you're looking at this game, like how does Iowa win? Slop it up, take away the passing game to some extent, and make a third string running back beat you with a loaded box. Because Oregon made some plays through the air, but in general, Iowa lost that game because they gave up too many rush yards. So, Oregon, I tell you, Oregon is ridiculous on the ground. Now, you said they're 6th. I believe they're 2nd in the country in yards per carry. Oregon's the only team in the country besides Navy that's averaging over 6 yards per carry right now.
Yes, they're at almost 6.5 yards a carry, and the only Power 5 school they're behind in rushing that's not service academy. But service academies aren't Power 5 anyways. The only Power 5 school they're behind is Utah right now. Utah in total rush, and Oregon clears them in yards per carry. Utah has 267 yards a game. So Oregon's behind Navy, Air Force, Utah, Jacksonville State, Army, West Point. So that is it. So that is a wildly impressive rushing attack. USC had in their game against Northwestern last week, King Miller had 15 carries for 127 yards, 8.5 yards a carry, and a touchdown, and that included a 55-yard run that I assume was probably his touchdown run. Let's figure out here. I want to see, because obviously those are impressive at 200 a game. If it's dropped off, let's see. When they played Nebraska, they ran for 202 on Nebraska. King Miller, 18 carries, 129 yards, over 7 yards a carry, and a touchdown against Nebraska. And let's go back one more game here. We'll go to Notre Dame, which they lost. Notre Dame held them to 68 yards rushing, including sacks. King Miller had 18 carries for 70 yards. So That one not as good, granted, but last couple of weeks, even without those guys, it's not like they stat padded early and then haven't been running the ball. King Miller has basically not missed a beat from where those other guys were. So interesting stuff. Again, we'll be with you tomorrow. Cory will be with you with Coach Patterson tomorrow, and Matt Krul as well to cover Iowa USC. A lot of the analysts have been all over Iowa. I mean, Joel Clapp for sure. I can't remember what Josh Pate said, but it'd been interesting to see some of the
All
talking heads.
all the analysts were on Iowa last week, so
They were, but they should have been right. They should have been correct. That
I know.
Interesting that they.
Hey, real quick, can you just before you share it, RTI Threads website, since we're an hour and 45 in, the show's officially gone off the rails once you hit an hour and a half. So can we just establish something? Can you share, since I'm always the one that's being accused of being delusional about the playoff, you share what you told me earlier this week about how I'm wrong when I say that Iowa done. You tell everybody what you told me about the playoff. You want to do that?
You're setting me up here to get executed live?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't care. So you can comment all you want. Everybody in the chat, come at me. But just for the record, by the way, I have been the pessimist all season. I have not been all over their playoff chances all season. I've started to believe a little bit the last couple of weeks. If you look at the playoff rankings, and again, people are going to call me insane for this. Cool. Do it. The playoff committee keeping them at 21 is very, very interesting to me for a number of reasons. I think there is a chance, and I think it's an outside chance, but I think there is still a chance that Iowa has 2 ranked opponents remaining. If Nebraska gets right, I guess, let's see who they play. If Nebraska can beat Penn State, which is their only opponent before Iowa, maybe they sneak into the CFP top 25, but they're guaranteed one top 25 game on the road against number 17 USC. So they would take care of USC. Ahead of Iowa, we have 4 ACC teams, of which I believe only one will make the playoff, unless it's Miami and another team. But I think the odds are one of those teams makes the playoff, not multiple, because obviously with the highest ranked team in that conference being 15, with several of those teams playing each other, and for example Georgia Tech going to Georgia, those teams will all beat each other up. So of the teams ahead of Iowa, should Michigan, who's also ahead of Iowa, lose to Ohio State, they're probably out, because I don't know what their non-conference schedule is not good either. They got thrashed by Oklahoma. So assume Michigan backs out of it. Iowa beats USC and moves ahead of them. Of those 4 ACC teams, one of them is remaining. So that already has Iowa into the top 15. Then you've got Vanderbilt, Utah, BYU. Again, do we think both of those teams are going to be in consideration after a conference championship game? Maybe, but likelihood is no. Oklahoma plays Bama. They could go to 3 losses this week. Texas still plays Texas A&M and Georgia. So they could theoretically lose both those games, go to 8-4. They would be out. There is still a path, and granted, it is a almost 0% path. But there is still a path to the playoff. I'm just seeing a comment here that says Iowa still has a path to the automatic qualifying bid in the Big Ten. That path is basically done. And we can pull up what the route is, but basically it would require a whole bunch of teams that are not losing a bunch of games to lose a bunch of games. What I'm talking about is Iowa has to, and if we look at, the ACC gets their auto bid, and the group of 5 gets their auto bid. So essentially you've got to get to the top 10. And if we look at the teams in front of them in the top 10, we've got 11 spots that they would have to climb. Of those 11, 4 of them are ACC. I think 3 get taken out. That leaves 7 spots to climb. 6 if you include the win over USC, that would knock USC out with head-to-head to Iowa. If you consider Michigan knocked out after a loss to Ohio State, that's 5 spots remaining. Vanderbilt has a tough schedule. Or let's see, do they have a tough schedule?
Okay, can I just stop you real quick? Can I just say this? You can say whatever you want to say. if there's any minute chance of all this happening, I think they got to blow out at USC tomorrow. I don't even think it's
Absolutely. They have to win by 30 or 25 against
okay,
USC.
win
Got to
by
be
30.
convincing.
They're not winning by 30. If they win by 10 or more, I'd say then I consider that a dominant victory on
It
the
has
road.
to be, and I'm not saying it has to be 63-10, but it has to give the impression of Indiana, Illinois. Whether it's that score or not, it has
come on.
It has to be. It has to be. Yes, it does. It has to be a romping if you're going to build a resume. Because they don't have a resume.
I don't agree with you on that. First of all, it's not reasonable to expect that. Second of all, think more of what Indiana did to Oregon and Eugene. 10-point win on the road. That looks very favorable to the committee. I don't think the committee is looking at that. Like,
I don't even know that that's enough. I think you need a
real quick,
score win.
can I just say this though? You're sitting here saying, okay, well, Iowa has no path to an AQ because it would require a couple of teams losing a bunch of games they're not going to lose. What's the difference between saying that and saying, well, Iowa needs to win by 50? Neither one is going to happen.
They don't need to win by 50. They need to win by 3 scores.
By 3 scores? Okay, so set by 17.
Yeah, 17 or 14 plus 17, 20. That would be impressive, I think. It depends on the condition. 10 or 14 points may be decisive in bad weather.
So are you telling me this is
they need narrative help.
This is us talking at midnight Eastern. But are you going to sit here and say that, because you and I both know Kirk's, even if they were in position to do that, Kirk is not going to run up the score. Like, if they're winning on the road tomorrow, it's going to be a monsoon. Could you imagine? Like, if they run up the score on USC?
You don't think is there any part of you that thinks because it's Lincoln Riley, Kirk would like to do it? No.
Well, I don't think they're honest. This is going to sound really bad. I don't think they're capable of that in those weather conditions. Like, I don't know how many. It's like what they did to Oregon last week. Like, they were going to win that game 16-15. All right, they almost did. That's how they're going to win this game on Saturday. Maybe the game gets into the 20s and Iowa has a shot in the 20s. But any more than that, like, the only way they dominate a game like this is if it's like 24-10. Like 24-10. To me, it's not 17. That's not 3 scores. That's the closest you're going to get to dominate. And it's going to be hard.
Let's assume that happens. What do you think of the rest of that scenario?
I
think if they go 9-3 and they have a 24-10 win at USC on their resume, they're at least on the bubble. Like, they're in that graphic. They're in the last 4 out.
Okay. Here's the problem with what you're saying, though. All right. You keep talking about the ACC and the Big 12. I don't care what the ACC and the Big 12 do. Here's what I care about.
No,
the SEC.
You do.
I care about the SEC getting only 4 teams in. All right. That's what I care about.
Okay.
Because
I mean,
my fear is
the ACC losing their spot is far more likely than the SEC at this point only getting. And part of what I'm saying, by the way, part of that scenario is eliminating Oklahoma with a loss to Alabama and eliminating Texas with losses to Georgia and A&M. So that takes care of that. That's part of the scenario. What part of those outcomes was ridiculous? Do you not pick A&M to beat Texas?
Go through them one more time.
A&M and Georgia defeat Texas. Alabama defeats Oklahoma in Bryant-Denny this weekend at home. So that's really all that has to happen in the SEC, because Texas and Oklahoma are the only. I mean, guess Vanderbilt's sitting there. Let's see, who does Vandy play?
Yeah, where's Vandy? Where's Vandy? Where's Tennessee?
Tennessee and Vandy play each other, so one of them is out.
Okay.
They play each other last week of the season. So again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it ain't over yet. And by the way, ESPN was the ESPN FPI released a graphic that said basically the number of wins that a team would have to get to be in bubble consideration. And Iowa made the graphic at 9 wins. So they admitted that based on their metrics.
You're about to make my game day a lot more fun, Kyle.
Okay, but play this out with me. Okay. Texas and Oklahoma go down. Okay.
Uh-huh.
the ACC, assuming that Miami, we want at this point Miami to be the champ, because I think they said there's a scenario that Miami goes 10-2 and is not the ACC, is not a conference championship game participant. That's really bad because there's a chance Miami makes it at 10-2 without playing in the conference championship game. So assuming that it's like Miami is the conference champion or whatever, one ACC team. So that takes care of already. And with Iowa beating Southern Cal, they need to move up. They need to move up 10 spots. That takes care of 6 of them right there. So you've got four more spots to go. Michigan then loses to Ohio State. You got 3 left.
That's also assuming nobody leapfrogs them. You got to realize that.
Well, it is, but Tennessee's the only one that can. How is South Florida leapfrogging Iowa? How's Cincinnati leapfrogging Iowa?
Okay, so can I ask you another question? Because you brought up Nebraska. That game is in Lincoln.
Can I just say, Amanda, if we win tomorrow, Cory will change his tune. Amanda, you're absolutely correct. If they win 24-10 tomorrow, he will be on the show on the post game saying they're alive, they're back, we're back, baby. That's what he will say.
Hey, real quick, can you tell everybody what did I text you during the game tonight?
What are you talking about?
In regards to Iowa men's basketball, what did I text you during the game? In all caps.
Was that a football text? That was a football text, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't a football text. It was about Iowa men's basketball. What did I text you?
It was a good old "We are so back" Homer text. That's what it was.
That was still. Hey, they went up by 20 against Xavier, and I'm like, we are so back, bro. We are so back.
And I assume this was before checking the KenPom ratings. Up 21 versus a mini blue blood 2 weeks into year 1.
Hey,
can I email Richard Pitino and say, good news, Cory Brada thinks you're a mini blue blood.
You need to put that. You need to literally copy paste that text message that I sent you and put it up on the screen.
I should. Let's do that right now. Let me put it in. Well, we'll do this right. While I do that, let's see. Okay, so we've thrown it in the chat. There we go. I'm gonna while I do this, I've put. Do you see what I have on the screen?
Yeah, I see it. Your commenting is from the Hawkeye of the Storm. I like that.
I know. Let's see. Up 21 versus a mini blue blood. So, and this, by the way, what we're doing right now is we're making sure as we divulge in after the hour and a half point, we're talking about college football and the NBA. We're maintaining our connection to Iowa post game for Iowa men's basketball here. So there you go. Up 21 versus there's a copy and paste of the text that I received. Let's see. That was
I didn't lie. Right? I didn't lie. They were up 21 2 weeks into 2 weeks into a 10-year year one.
Mini blue blood is dubious, but
hey, okay. If Xavier's not a mini blue blood, what is a mini blue blood? I'm serious. Like
crappy blue blood. That's what they are. They're a crappy blue blood.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I would consider most of those Big East teams mini blue bloods. That's why they play in the Big East. They don't, besides UConn, most of those programs don't have major college football teams. So
no, they don't. Yeah.
I mean, Georgetown hasn't been relevant for years, and I would consider them a mini blue.
Yeah, they're still a mini blue blood. Yeah, no, if not, I mean, historically they were an outright until the last several years where they've struggled. They were almost an outright blue blood. So let's okay. So is there anything in that scenario, right? I'm not gonna stop until I get you to admit that this is still alive. They have to get from 21st to, in fact, if Miami just goes ahead and wins the ACC, they're probably going to be in the top 10. So they just need to get to the 11 spot. That's where they need to get to. So essentially what you'd be looking at is, and this is if everyone else wins out and holds their spot, right? This is if Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and honestly, with this scenario, you need most of them to just go ahead and do that. So you would assume Miami, if they win the ACC, they get up to 10th in the rankings. I guess Notre Dame could lose too. I don't know, because Notre Dame, who do they play? They play Pitt, right?
Yeah,
so
Pitt's in the top 25.
Pitt's 22nd. So I guess maybe that's another candidate. Maybe you just want
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure what you want there.
That's the hard part when you have Notre Dame that doesn't play in a conference. That's the problem. They gobble up one of those at-large bids.
Well, they've got to so Iowa at 21, they have to get to 11. Assuming it's 11 or 10.
So real quick, let me ask you this. What's Notre Dame's record right now?
They got 2 losses. They're 7-2.
So if Pitt beats them, then I'd have to think
they're out. They have no good wins. Notre Dame has no good wins.
Well, if Notre Dame's they beat Purdue, but I'm kidding.
Not a good Purdue's not a good win in the
I'm joking. If Notre Dame loses to Pitt, what does Pitt have the rest of the year? Because Pitt is 22nd, so they're literally one spot below Iowa.
Let's see. Pitt football. Let's have a look.
Because my question is, does Pitt have more room for movement up, or does Iowa have more room for movement?
Pitt finishes with Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, and Miami back to back to back.
Well, that may not be a bad thing, because they could beat Notre Dame and then lose 2.
So if you're rooting for Miami to just win the ACC, you'd be rooting for Pitt over Notre Dame, and then you'd be rooting for Miami over Pitt, and that would get rid of Pitt.
But if you're a Pitt fan, they have a clear route to the playoff.
Oh, they win those 3, they're in.
It's called go win those games, and you're going to be in the playoff.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, I mean, you almost wish as an Iowa fan that they did have those 3 games in front of them, because they would have the opportunity. But anyways, they need to go up 10 spots with teams in front of them. Let's assume no one passes them for the sake of it, right? Let's assume that somebody takes care of Pitt. Tennessee. Let's see who Tennessee has left. Who does Tennessee have? They have New Mexico State this weekend from the Florida or from the SEC. Week 11 FCS opponent. And then they have Florida on the road, and then they have Vanderbilt. So I guess Tennessee still alive, I guess. Tennessee doesn't have any good wins, though. Tennessee's wins are Syracuse, East Tennessee State, UAB, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Kentucky. That's it. That's all they have. I don't even think they've beaten a 500 team. And then they would have Vandy. So I struggle to see Tennessee passing Iowa, because Iowa would even have a better win over USC. So let's assume nobody passes Iowa. They need to go up 10 spots. 4 of those teams are ACC teams. So if we have Miami go ahead and win out, that 4 ACC teams turns into 1. They got to go up 7 more spots. They're going to beat Southern Cal, so they got to go up 6 more spots. Michigan gets stumped by Ohio State. That takes it down to 5. That's not unrealistic. And then what you would need is Texas and Oklahoma to lose. Again, Oklahoma plays in Bryant-Denny. We're not asking for miracles here. And Texas plays Georgia and Texas A&M. I think the trouble is Texas, if they win one of those games and go 9-3, they'll have a top 5 win. So that's a problem. So they probably need to lose both of those games. So you're looking at Oklahoma and Texas. Then they would need 3 more spots. And then that's when it becomes a prayer that Vanderbilt loses a game, that Utah loses a game, that BYU. So you basically would need all. Yeah, I mean, you definitely need a lot to happen. But it starts this weekend. A lot will be clarified if they go and they win by double digits this weekend. A lot will be, and some of these teams may lose this weekend.
Let's just clarify one thing. You said something about Iowa potentially having another top 25 game on the schedule. Where do you figure that Nebraska, first of all, the problem with Nebraska is
they have no good wins either.
Well, they don't have any good wins. They don't beat anybody. They're down their quarterback. So, I don't even know what their schedule looks like. What's their record?
They have a bye week, and then they have Penn State. They have they're 6-3, so they'd be they're 7-3. They're 7-3, so they'd be 8-3 with a win over Penn State, and then they would play.
The Iowa. Best they can be is 8-4, if assuming Iowa wins. So that's Oh,
But it is. I mean, it's a road game. It's not a nothing game. I mean, if they're 8-3 at the time they play Iowa, I know it's not maybe not a ranked win, but it's not a bad win. The problem is Michigan State does nothing for you. Beating Michigan State at home does absolutely nothing for you. That's the biggest issue. But I mean, again, if they thump South Carolina or Southern California, sorry, this weekend, or they at least put a good beating on them. I mean, like Oklahoma they probably will lose this weekend to Alabama. That knocks them out already. Pitt plays. They could knock out Notre Dame. They could wake up on Tuesday morning as the 16th or 15th ranked team in the country, and then you got 2 weeks to go, and you just got to hope for 3 or 4 more losses. So it's not. All I'm saying is it is not a 0% chance. That's all. It's not a 0% chance.
How the tables have turned, man. I've been hearing all year, ever since they lost to Iowa State, and especially after they lost to Indiana. All year I've been hearing how delusional I was because I kept talking about the playoff. But
I don't think people, and this is where I'll defend the people a little bit because I was with them a little bit. They were not saying that there wasn't a path. They were saying based on the team they saw, they couldn't see that team not losing at least 1 or 2 more games. That was the point that I think that at least the reasonable people were making. That's what I said. After Indiana, I said they have Oregon and they have USC and they have all these other games. So I thought there was a chance they were going to end up 7-5 and be way out of the discussion. That's why when we say playoff discussion, I want to talk about the playoff when they have a reasonable chance. You know, like when they're not even ranked.
Okay, but what you just said doesn't really hold water because you can't sit here and tell me that Iowa had proven that they didn't belong in those games. Like, what game have they proven that they don't belong?
Well, not necessarily any of them. I'm not saying that
Right.
they had. Well, they also hadn't. I mean, they hadn't won any of the games. And by the way, what I said at the beginning of the season, and you'll remember this. I said the problem with the team is they've played in 2 close games and they've lost both of them, and that's going to be an issue because Iowa has to win those close games. And what did they do? They lost another close game against Oregon. So the same thing happened again.
I get it. I'm just simply saying when they were sitting on 2 losses, okay, they have 1 loss on the road at a rival, 1 loss to one of the hottest teams in the country. It's like, well, is it crazy to think they could beat Penn State, Oregon, and maybe USC? I'm like, if you beat Penn State and Oregon, then USC becomes a huge game. Obviously not, and they got very close to doing that. They fell short.
I didn't think that it was crazy. What I thought was there were so many 50-50 outcomes that had to take place that it was basically there was no chance. That was all I said. I said any of the individual outcomes they can win, but all of them at once is a dream run.
What you just said, all the outcomes that you just went through, I basically say there's no chance based on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying it's not over.
You just love saying that, don't you? It's just not over. You just love saying
it. I'm saying if they win out, what percent chance do you give them of making it?
If they win out, okay.
If they win out and say they win every game by double digits, they look really good the rest of the way.
Okay, so if they win every game by double digits, I could see. I'm just throwing this out there. My guess is they'll be somewhere around 12, but that will not be a good enough to get. They got to get in the top 10.
But what? Okay, what? Well, no, not necessarily. No, they don't.
Well, maybe not necessarily, but likely because
top 11. If what needs to happen is Miami has to win the ACC. Miami's already ranked 15th. If they win 3 more games and they win the ACC championship, they're going to be in the top 10.
Where's Georgia Tech ranked right now?
16. But the problem is if Georgia Tech wins the ACC, there's a chance that Miami doesn't even make the ACC championship game, and they're sitting there as a 10-2 team that didn't participate in the championship game. That's the problem with them.
Yeah,
there's a scenario where it's like a Georgia Tech, Virginia, or Georgia Tech, Louisville conference championship game, and you have Miami sitting there at 10-2. And what do you do with them versus Iowa? Well, you probably take them. That's the issue.
Well,
because I'm not saying they're 50-50 to get in if they win out. I'm just saying maybe they have a 10-15% chance to get in if they win out. That's all.
So
5-10% chance even.
Since we're living in fairyland and we're pushing this podcast past the 2-hour mark. If Iowa wins by 1 tomorrow, if they win by 1, are they still in? Do they still have a shot?
I don't think so at that point. I don't think there's anything on the resume that's impressive enough. I think it starts tomorrow.
So they have to win convincingly tomorrow.
They have to win convincingly. And I guess with the weather, it doesn't have to be a dominant scoreline. But again, it's about, to some degree, it's about the narrative. Like when Illinois was in, and granted, it's the AP poll, whatever. But Illinois, before they lost to Washington, you could say, oh, they only lost to the 2 best teams in the country potentially. But Illinois' problem in the rankings was people looked at them and had a lack of respect for them after they got beat up by Indiana. So if people look at that game and go, well, Iowa really doesn't blow anyone out, but they destroyed South Carolina for their standards. If that narrative is out there, oh, this Iowa team has looked really, really good. And by the way, our only recent memory of them against top teams is, well, they should have beat Oregon and they should have beat Indiana. That's a different narrative than, oh my gosh, Iowa just sneaked out of Southern California with a field goal to win. That's different. Those are 2 different things. Because if they destroy South Carolina or Southern Carolina, I keep saying South Carolina, if they destroy USC on the road, you've established that they're above that 17 ranked tier. And with those narrow losses, maybe the committee has established that they're not that far behind the top tier. So that fits them somewhere in the middle, which is the bottom of the playoff rankings.
I think part of the issue that I continue to come back to with this whole discussion is there's too many names like Michigan and Alabama and Miami.
I mean,
there's too many names.
Not necessarily a problem. Like Michigan, you picking Michigan to beat Ohio State this year? I know they've won 4 straight, but I'm not.
Well, that obviously, if you're Iowa, unless Ohio State just totally, like you mentioned earlier, the only way Iowa gets an AQ is if you somehow have Ohio State and Indiana lose out, which isn't happening. So yeah, you need Ohio State to beat Michigan. Those are the types of games, like you need Ohio State to beat Michigan. You need USC to beat Oregon. Right? I mean,
yeah, you do. Yeah, you're right. That could be another landmine, because then you'd be left with 9-3 USC, 9-3 Iowa, 9-3 Oregon, and all 3 had played some games against each other.
I mean, and if EOC beats Oregon, that becomes, the USC win becomes better. Obviously, yeah. Oregon could also lose. I think they go to Seattle. Do they play?
They do. They play at Washington. Yep, and that's been a house of horrors for them recently.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying that they have a great path. I'm not saying they have this clear chance, but I'm saying get through this weekend with a 10-point win, and we can talk about it. It's not dead. And I'm only saying that, by the way, because of where they. I mean, the committee has said as of right now, they think that Iowa is better than Pitt, Tennessee, South Florida, Cincinnati. Like, they've ranked them high enough that they don't have that far to go. They have 10. They have probably 10 spots to go.
I'm honestly not worried at all about Pitt. But that's that game tomorrow is that tomorrow, Notre Dame Pitt.
Yeah.
So that's a big game for Iowa, though, because you really need Pitt to win that game.
That would make things significantly easier. I mean, at that point, if
Iowa literally
USC, it's at Pitt, by the way.
And what's the schedule the rest of the way for Notre Dame?
Notre Dame has trash cans except for Pitt. Notre Dame plays Syracuse and Stanford, who don't have a pulse. And let me just go through this, by the way, because Notre Dame's ranked high partially because of their competing with these national power. They'll have essentially the same resume at 9-3 that Iowa would have, minus a win at Southern California, because they beat Southern Cal at home, but besides that, their wins are NC State, Arkansas, Purdue, Boise State, Boston College, Navy, Syracuse, and Stanford is who they would have. So they don't exactly have a world-beating resume. Their best win would be USC at home, and Iowa would have that win on the road, plus a Big Ten schedule. So they don't. I mean, if they lose to Pitt tomorrow, they're done. They're out. They're finished.
That's why you could argue that's the biggest game besides Iowa USC. That's the biggest game on the schedule tomorrow. If Iowa has any
let's see if Virginia. Let me see. I want to see if Virginia plays anybody. They played Duke and Virginia Tech. See, that's not good because neither of those teams are very good. Let's look at Louisville. I know Louisville has at least one notable game. They have SMU on the road, and they have a bye this week. So it's SMU, or no, they played. They just beat, or they wait, what? Okay, Louisville just lost. Louisville just lost to Clemson. I didn't even see that. Louisville lost to Clemson today, so they're already done. So already Iowa's at 20 as we sit here, and they would be if you take off USC, they're at 19. If you take away possibly a Notre Dame, I mean they could be up to 15 in the next rankings if things go right. And then you're only 3 or 4 outcomes away at that point, plus Iowa winning. It's not done. And what I fear is they're going to get to the end of this, and they're gonna finish 15th, and we're all gonna go, oh my goodness, they had 3, they could have made 3 plays and been the number 1 team in the country. And if they made 1 play, they were automatically in the playoff. Like it's going to be horrifying if they finish 12th or 13th and they miss the playoff by 1 spot, or they're in that first 4 out and they were 1 play away, legitimately 1 play away. But anyways, that's that'll be this could all be done tomorrow. I don't know that this is even a discussion that's alive tomorrow. We have no idea. They're currently what 5.5 point dogs at USC, so they're gonna have to beat the spread by 14, 15 points.
What's almost somewhat reassuring on this whole thing, Kyle, is if they lose tomorrow to USC. Now, granted, if they lose, I mentioned this to Mark Rogers earlier in the week. We can't say with total confidence that the same result would have occurred had they won last week, right?
Yeah.
But it will be almost somewhat like reassuring to know, well, they got 4 losses. They've lost 4 games potentially the same way. They're just not deserving. And it will suck. But at the same time, at least we'll be like, well, this looks like 2008. They just weren't ready.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, again, from a recruiting perspective too, like if they do come up just short, it's still good for recruiting, no? To be right on the doorstep.
Potentially. I think it'd be really good for recruiting just to win one in Southern Cal. I think because they've done more work out there on the south side of California. The south side of California. Nobody's ever said that before. South side of California.
Southern California. Yeah.
Southern California in recent years. So yeah. It's gonna. I'll tell you what. It's gonna be really weird seeing a rainy game out there tomorrow. I don't know how often they get rain out there, but it's not often.
One of the things that is going to happen tomorrow, I think, is USC already struggles with attendance. Gosh, will there be 20,000 people at that game? I don't know. In that weather, I don't know what is USC's reported in average attendance.
I don't know, but I listed earlier this week. Yeah, we had Matt Zemek over on Voice of College Football. We had him on, and he's a media guy, but he's also he's a USC homer. I think he'd admit to that. And he came on, and like the first thing he said was, he's not getting his hopes up because he's seen USC blow these types of opportunities so many times. So I bring that up only because that's a totally different mindset than what we're used to. If Iowa fans are in a situation where we may think, well, Iowa's blown a lot of opportunities in the past, but if Iowa's in a situation with just 2 losses with 3 games to go, again, we're looking at this saying, we win, we're in. USC's looking at this like, well, here we are again. Like they're used to being.
They have us and they have Oregon. That would be the daunting part. I mean, I wouldn't be loving their chances either if I was a USC homer.
Well, but it is still in front of them. Like their path is clear.
It's way clearer than Iowa. Iowa does not control their own destiny anymore. All right. Well, I don't know if we lost Cory there, but let's real briefly, if Cory's not coming back, at least for the moment, let's get the screen up here. We'd like to shout out our friends at RTI Threads. thank them for their sponsorship of the show. Yep, Corey's just gone here. Maybe be back in just a moment. Please go and check out our friends at RTI Threads, Jacob Gill, Aaron Graves, Zach Lutmer, Carson Shire, some other guys that we won't reference down here, Peyton Sanford as well, and then more guys that we won't mention. So if you'd like to go support a lot of these guys moving on after this year, so just go ahead and click on the name, and you'll see their merchandise listed. You got t-shirts, you got polos, you got hoodies, pullovers, all that kind of good stuff. So please go and check them out. They've been a great supporter of our show for a long time at this point. So go on and check some of their stuff out. Corey pointed out the Peyton Sanford shirt that's still up there, but again, Jacob Gill, Carson Shire, Zach Lutmer, Aaron Graves, all have their stuff up on RTI Threads. Please go give them a shot. Get some of their merchandise. All right. Anything? Any last parting words for the people, Corey?
No, I just departed from the Flying J, so that's all there really is to it. What a marathon post game! You just hosted a 2.5 hour men's basketball post game
on a 20-point blowout too.
Yeah, over a mini blue blood. They
Oh, don't call them that. Don't say that again.
I know we're living in the moment, but
let's get the comment back up. There we go. There's the comment.
Yeah.
No, never mind. I want to end with this one. This is the one that I have to end with. We are so back. Cory, Homer, Brada.
We are so back, man.
Specifically,
and so when they win by double digits tomorrow, that's going to be the first thing I say on the post game shows. We are so back.
We are. If they win by 10, open the show. Just camera goes on. Grab the mic. We are so back. That's how I need you to start.
Speaking of mics, your mic is doing pretty good, man. That's a pretty good mic.
It's good, and it wasn't crazy expensive too. It was like I'd never heard of the brand before. It was like $50 to grab a little microphone. So good clarifies audio. And I did get a comment last time. I can't touch the mic because if I touch it, you can hear everything shake around. So I got to leave it alone. But if I leave it alone, it's good quality.
Well, appreciate you doing this and for hanging out and helping me get back to Central Iowa safely. So I'm getting closer to home, but yeah, we'll see everybody join myself and Matt Kroll for the first segment of our show tomorrow night, and then we'll get a little bit of time with Coach Patterson as well. But should be a fun one. I mean, I'm fine with it not being on national TV because at this point, like, why do they need more CBS and NBC games?
Yeah.
Put it over on Big Ten Network and let's see what happens. Contrast to styles. I'll have my score prediction tomorrow morning. Didn't get that up today with this game, but have the score prediction out tomorrow. If people didn't see my preview released yesterday, check that out. It's up on the channel as well.
Absolutely. And, regardless, again, I'm having a little bit of fun with the playoff talk. Do I think they're going to get in the playoff? No, I don't. But it's Saturday.
Now, don't go back. Now, don't backpedal now. Come on now.
Okay, I'll double check.
Backpedal.
They're going to the playoff, baby. They're in at 12:40 Eastern, 2.5 hours into a men's basketball game show. They're going to the playoff. I don't care. But even if they don't, it's a chance to watch Iowa football and then come join us for postgame, which, as we know, it's always a fun time, regardless of national implications. So please do join us for that. And then do we have women's basketball Sunday? I want to say no. No, we got to mute it.
So we'll have post game with Kasheen Alexander on Sunday.
Okay, perfect. Well, then we got another 3-day stretch of a Friday men's basketball game, football Saturday, and then women's basketball Sunday. So keep it locked right here.
Wait, guys. And we get SEMO. We get SEMO related to Elmo coming to town on Tuesday for the men. We got SEMO, man.
Are they a mini blue blood?
No, but I do. Are they the Redbirds? I believe. Am I right?
Yeah, I think
Redbirds?
so. Yeah, I think they are. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's see. Yeah. Yep. So we'll get to that stuff when we get there. But yeah, anything else, Cory? Or you're all good? Uh-oh. All right. Well, I'll wrap this up. It's been fun. Sorry, but apologize for us getting off the rails there, but it's always good fun. Talk football, talk a little bit of men's basketball. Honestly wasn't anything to complain about with tonight's performance. If in case you forgot, and I wouldn't blame you if you did, Iowa did defeat Xavier 81-62 tonight. So happy to talk through that in the playoff. Hopefully we'll have good news for you tomorrow evening after a 2:30 kickoff. But this has been Iowa Post Game with Kyle Spence Golf, and Cory Brada, and all of you with your calls, with your chats. Stay locked right here, everybody. Entering a busy season, tail end of football, beginning of basketball, beginning of women's basketball and men's. So we'll continue to pump stuff out for you. Lots of post game shows all over the place. It's been fun. All right, everybody. Support our sponsors, RTI Threads, Big Grove Brewery, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good night.